Okay. And
I wish I had a dry basement.
no.
I could put all these boxes downstairs and
Yeah.
have confidence that I wouldn't ruin everything.
If I didn't live in a townhouse, I'd give you some space.
I've got a townhouse that's going to be empty, but
Yeah.
I'm shuffling stuff back and forth between there and there.
Yeah.
And here and.
We don't want to watch that. Actually, we want to go back to the straight.
Why would YouTube be an untrusted connection?
Because it's trying to pull in it's going to HTTPS, and there's something funky with their settings.
Yeah, I took
this
one
again.
of these.
Right.
Oh, you know what?
What?
The time date is probably.
Yep.
The nickel battery inside it is, or the 2030
That
or
happened again.
2025 is messed up. I may have to set it in.
Yeah, we'll get close enough. Actually, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
And then, is that enough? Is the question. No. Oh, maybe. Let's think. There we go.
Okay.
Okay, and we're already logged in. That's good. How do we get to the thing? We don't know how to get to the thing. Actually, it's going to be easier to do it from there, but it's going to be a little unhappy. Let me just pull up the chat room real quick. Over here. No one in the chat room yet. Just go to the end of that and add a add a slash forward. The very first one, my live events. And you should see this one there. Yeah, and just click on that, the link.
Can I turn this, or is
go ahead. Go ahead. In fact, we should, because otherwise we can't see you at all. There we go. Good.
Okay. And appearing behind this screen.
Yes, like that's. You might want to tilt that somewhere because it's cutting off half your head.
This one?
Yeah. Oh no, I'm sorry. This one.
Hey. Cool.
Like Jurassic World in here.
So.
Click on the link. The link right there. Yep. And then it'll pull up the live stream. And you just pause that as soon as it fires up. Yep. And there's our chat room, which is currently empty, but that's okay.
Say something.
Good. Yeah, we started about 3 minutes, so that's fine. I wonder what the timestamps will be on that. Timestamp. I thought that was Beyonce.
Who, where, what?
I thought that was Beyonce instead of everyone.
Hello, Beyonce.
Cool.
Hello, everyone, and welcome.
Hello. So we're just getting everything set up here. So just double checking. We've got that stuff there, that stuff there. The tin actually shows up a lot better now. What we should do actually is put something on the back of this. That'd be nice.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I have some art at home that I can bring in. That we can hang off there. In the meantime, it's kind of hard with those cables there, so I'm not going to play around with it right now. That's okay. I can pull this in for the news. So it's fully
Stand by for news.
Yes, in
Paul Harvey.
An hour. Unlock that. There it is. Good. Good. All right, it's pulled in the latest stuff. I'm going to make sure that it's all there. It is all there. Is there any way of zooming in on that, I wonder? Doesn't look like it. Yeah, there's your news.
Hey. News I can use.
Yes. Actually, does the other tablet work? No, we had problems before because it's a very unhappy tablet. Now it looks like it's dead again.
Tycho.
Yeah, it's dead. So a few things with your news stories, just so you're kind of aware of.
Yeah, I like to read them before.
Yeah, any pronunciation confusions. I can't do that.
Seiyus?
Seiyu, that's good. Yep. Actually, can I do it this way?
Junjo?
Junjo, good. Where?
Junjo.
Oh, I'll be doing that one.
Yeah.
I'm doing that story, so that's fine. Hey, Junjo Romantica. Good.
Have you seen some 40
Wow.
episodes of like folk tales,
Cool.
folk stories, and
Nice. Oh, I have seen a few of those. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just saw that recently.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Check this out.
I've
Neat little
I've
stories.
seen a couple of
And
them.
all the styles seem to be different animators.
Yeah.
Or different styles.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, Tycho, Snow White, Game of Plus, Gangsta, Sea's Life, Bikini Warriors.
Kawaii,
Exactly what it sounds like.
Oahu,
Mm.
Maui.
Mm-hmm. Kyoko Kato.
Kante.
Hmm? Where's that?
Conte Hitman, 1989.
Kante Hitman.
Boo Boo and Boobalina.
Yeah.
Hideki Anno.
Hideaki.
Hideki. How was that again?
Hideaki.
Hideaki. Split my vowels. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hideaki Anno.
Exactly. And I just copied and pasted all of the guests in. We don't have to go through all of them for all the cons.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's Anime Expo, so they've just got everyone.
Where is that again?
Yeah, LA Convention Center. And then, Kickstarters. I hope that one makes it.
Cool.
Yeah. Looking pretty good. I've got a quarter of their money, and they're about a quarter way through.
To buy energy drinks. Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
48 hours. I wonder if we backed him.
I don't think so. No, because he has no money. No one's backed him at all.
But if we backed him,
if we backed him, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Get him on and
That'd be hilarious. Yeah. Yeah.
Liquid Snake.
Yeah, both of us just dumped $78 on him. Hey, look at that. That'd be hilarious.
Would.
Well, and especially, actually, that's a good question. I wonder, what is the highest backer level? At $50 or more, you can send me the names of another 10 of your favorite anime you think need to be watched in another marathon. So we can force another marathon.
Entire Gundam.
Yeah. We could do that.
The franchise.
We could do that.
He has to spend 3 months in a row.
Exactly. Cool. We're just going through the news real quick before we start Smoke and Mirrors.
I had this novel idea that I'm going to actually read it before I have to read it.
Same here. It's like it'd be kind of nice. And let me.
That way I can get the right emphasis on the correct syllable.
Exactly. You know what you're doing. Where is?
No guarantees though.
Oh, that's because we don't do the open. Okay, gotcha.
What? No open?
No, we have the open, but we do the music, not the actual video. Because we do that too.
We can do that up there.
Yeah, we can. That's a good point. Yep. And then
we do with Horizons.
It's true. It's true. Low in the Sea, $180. That's a lot.
20th anniversary of Mighty Morphin
Power Rangers movie. Wow, that was 20 years ago.
20 years
That's
ago
hard to
today.
Believe. That is really hard to believe.
Power Rangers came to stay. They've been doing it for quite a while.
Yep. Go Power Rangers.
Guaranteed to make it smile. So let me introduce to you.
All right.
After all these years, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie.
Where did that put? Oh shoot. My notes are in the other room. 1 second.
Ooh. My headset just wigged out.
Ooh.
Oh, that's why the power. Why did the power go? There we go. Okay.
There it is.
Connector there on our headphone DA.
Okay.
I can't seem to get that to stay.
Oh, yeah, it's popping in that. Hello.
It's present.
Hello?
It's just not coming through our headphones.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Oh, yeah.
Looks like our headphone DA has got some flakiness to it. Everything should be fine with the audio out there in the world.
Yep. Sort of our return. Fair enough. All right.
Cool.
Let's get dangerous.
Dangerous. I think there was a Y&T song.
Yeah.
Blast from the past.
I'm thinking of Darkwing Duck.
Dangaroos.
So welcome once again to Smoke and Mirrors. Ooh. I don't think I'm actually getting audio out of that because I pulled it out. I'm
not hearing it through the headphones.
There's no audio because it's the microphone is actually
it's picking it up.
Because I don't have the USB plugged in.
That would explain it.
Let me get that done. Where is this it? Is that it? That's not it. Where's the other side?
It would be follow that gray box cord.
The gray box cord.
That one right there.
All the gray box cord. All the gray box cord. Let's see if we can get some nicer audio for all of you guys. That would be nice, wouldn't it? I mean, imagine you guys being able to actually hear. Cannot think of that without thinking of Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice. So are we USB 3 or are we that one?
USB audio code at 3, yes.
Cool. To be or not to be. Smoke and Mirrors.
So welcome everyone back. So welcome to Smoke and Mirrors, where we are back with a little more Haruhi and
aliens, espers, time travelers,
and mysteries. It's been
if you're a normal person, don't talk to me, but if you're one of those unusual folks,
exactly.
Come and talk.
The episode begins with this really interesting bit, and I want to give Kyoto Animation, the folks who did this, full credit for starting with something and then not explaining anything about it for the rest of the episode. I'm sure we'll understand more of it in later episodes, but we start by seeing this beautiful auburn-haired girl in a white dress and a white hat, and she is on a boat.
That reminds me of some other anime.
Sure does.
Girl in the hat, and she's tearing up
something like a letter or some piece of paper. And she's really
hopefully it's not the script.
Yeah, I hope not. Well, given how meta this show is, that would not surprise me one bit. She gives it away, and then the water goes. We don't seem to recognize her. It's not clear what's going on. She looks at some photos, so it's very mysterious. But meanwhile, we're hearing, there she tears them up. Off they're going as well. So something she's not happy about.
The irrevocable giving up of these things. Oh, now she's plucking flowers.
Wow.
That sort of makes me think of He Loves Me not.
Possibly. So we have our characters talking about what the heck they're doing here.
Oh, wow. Beautiful cloudy day.
Beautiful cloudy day. They're on a ferry.
On a ferry, out in the water.
Yeah, so this is an interesting kind of episode because it's playing on a lot of things around the kinds of weird stories you get in a lot of these shows where you suddenly have to go off to a beautiful location somewhere, and it's pretty cool. And so the episode sets up this idea of the mystery. There's some mystery going on. They think there'll be a mystery.
What are they doing out on the water? Aren't they supposed to be in class?
So it's summer vacation, which is about a month long in Japan. And they're all going to go out and figure out something to do. And fortunately, as we discover, Koizumi, the esper, just happens to know, just happens to have an extremely rich relative. And we're all going to go out, and they're all going to go out and spend time on his private island in his mansion.
A private island.
Wow.
That guy deserves a promotion. He should be promoted to deputy chief.
I love Haruhi's expression here when she realizes that she walks over. she's also happy with herself. Just the expressions on her face, as she's doing that, she's just full of glee. We don't see Haruhi full of glee a lot. So she gives him the vice leader.
Vice leader, wow.
Thing, which is pretty nice. But of course, it's time for her to go down and pick something up. For a minute there, I thought that she had her tongue sticking out, but it's actually the cap of the pen, which is kind of funny. So we have the classic anime point. So we've all seen this, the strong anime point. You know where this comes from?
Where does that come from?
This comes from, I believe,
Look past the plane.
Kabuki theater.
Kabuki.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that very stylized form of theater, the staff of Astro Boy, while they were working on Astro Boy, they all went out to see Kabuki theater. And while they were watching it, they realized this is a form of entertainment.
It does have the Astro Boy thing to it, but they got that from Kabuki.
Well, they realized the very strong visual language of Kabuki gets across emotion very clearly.
Yes.
So they copied a lot of those things. Exactly. So that exact image was they were copying that to say, okay, here is somebody, pointing accusingly at somebody, and it's going to come across very clearly. So yes, this is something that we've seen in anime for a long time, and it goes all the way back to the first anime. Amazingly enough. Wow. But of course, Haruhi has her own new
super sleuth. Designated. She's not just the founder of the group, she's also a super sleuth.
And so that's our hint. So we know already in this show that Haruhi appears to have some influence over the world. And so as Koizumi points out, the implication is if she wants to be a super sleuth, a mystery will be forthcoming. And that's just going to have to happen at some point on this little trip they have.
Remote Island, Part 1.
Exactly.
The SOS retreat. It's summer. We're going to go on a retreat.
So this is an interesting thing here. We see them on the ferry going out, and we see various kids running around. I really appreciate this actually because of how much it gets across that very banal, everyday emotion of just sitting on there, a bunch of folks you don't know. You're just kind of passing the time.
Some kids running around.
Yep. Very, very quiet.
Normal life.
Very normal life, which is contrasted beautifully with Koizumi's talk and the music.
The music did get very kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm expecting a mystery now.
Yeah. And this is the first time we're really kind of testing Haruhi's ability to change the world. We've gotten information from various people, but now Kyon can kind of figure out, okay, well, is this really going to happen? Are we really going to see anything happen? And of course, Kyon doesn't believe it at all. Here, for one of the rare times we see Koizumi with his eyes open.
Yeah.
Kind of unusual there.
So, yeah, wow.
Yeah, which is, again, kind of a hint that things are getting a little more serious.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's not just sort of taking it in. He's like, hey.
Yeah, pay attention now. And so then we have all the characters in the SOS Brigade. One of the things
Plus one.
Plus one!
Plus one. Who's that? That's
that little small girl over
Kyon's
there.
little sister.
Exactly.
Officially known as Kyon's little sister.
You're in the credits. Kyon's little sister.
Kyon's little sister.
Hilarious. And so they're playing Old Maid, and I pointed out they're actually playing Old Maid.
They are really playing. Yeah.
I don't know if that was original or not. One of the things we talked about before is that in an anime adaptation, there's often a desire to, shall we say, internationalize the production. So you don't want to make things that are, you don't want to fill the show with Japanese references if you don't have to. So they'll find ways of figuring that out and doing something there. And so Kyon now shows us how his little sister came along. He walks down the hallway and goes to pick up his bag.
Just the SOS Brigade.
Yeah.
What? Why is it so heavy?
Why is it so heavy? And he opens the thing and...
Oh, well, somebody's a stowaway here. No, not coming with. Oh, yes, she is.
Yeah. Oh, poor girl. She's just freaking out. I mean, poor characters. We never see their parents. I mean, gosh.
None of these kids have parents. So
she comes along and very quickly makes a friend out of Mikuru.
Oh.
very nicely.
Yeah, I love the waiting room. This is kind of interesting because when you look in the waiting room, everybody's sitting on the floor in the corner.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's a step up to go to the spot. Not necessarily here, but over when you get the typical spot with the vending machines. But see how there's a little step up for the.
And I think they're actually on the second ferry at this point. So I think this is kind of the lower level of a ferry, because you mentioned there's going to be a multi-level trip.
Oh, okay. A place to sit and.
Yeah, kind of below decks. I'm not sure though, because this. I mean, all the light implies that.
It makes sense. They're on.
And
so a second ferry because he had to go and. Or was his sister in tow already?
That
was just the story.
Yeah, that was the story. Yeah. So they're playing old maid and talking about what's going to happen, and so then we have this wonderful little moment, which I didn't really recognize first time, when Koizumi puts out a hand to take a card from Kyon, and then remember he's an expert.
Tries to guide it a little bit.
Right?
But it's not gonna work. No. Take the Joker. Take the Joker. Take the Joker.
Not gonna happen. I want to know who the character is on the Joker. That's got to be a reference to something somewhere.
Oh yeah.
It's probably an early Kyoto Animation thing or something. I wonder. But
Mikuru just must have the most incredible poker face. She has no emotion, but we see who lost.
Yep. Who's buying the drinks?
Who's buying drinks? Yeah. Kyon.
And make it very clear, this is apple juice. There's nothing,
Not sake.
Exactly.
Not beer.
We also notice here how all of the female characters are wearing dresses.
Yeah.
One of the things the show is very good at is showing the characters in a lot of different outfits over the course of time. This is difficult because,
Well, with distinct characters, I think it's a little bit easier because if a character has enough personality and enough characteristics with their hair and facial features, then it's not as much of a, who is this again?
Yeah.
Oh, I can tell by the clothes. It's an actual, okay, she's not saying anything. Okay, Mikuru. Or she's really shy.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's nice seeing them in something other than the standard dress. That must have taken a lot more effort for animation.
Exactly. That's the thing, is that somebody has to draw that, somebody has to design it, and then different animators have to draw it and animate it. So it's difficult. But it's more realistic. You're not going to wear the same outfit you wore, out walking one day, earlier off on a vacation necessarily.
Occasionally, I'll cycle clothes.
Oh, sure.
But I will cycle through them.
Yeah. And so here we have a fun little moment here where Mikuru is taking photos of him
while he's asleep.
And of course, we remember from episode 0 that they film Mikuru. Oh, hey, Kaiser. So they film Mikuru asleep in the little magical girl thing they make. So this is, I guess, turnabout is fair play.
Yeah.
As they're playing around there.
I love the outfit. That actually looks really good on her.
It does. It's a very nice outfit. Somewhat form-fitting, but not crazy.
Yeah. It looks comfortable.
It does.
Summer vacation.
Exactly. I also want to point out how careful they are with camera movement here. Notice when Haruhi starts kind of messing with Kyon, the camera moves a little bit, shifting around.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Subtle things that make it. If you don't notice it, it just adds to the effect. But when you notice it, you realize, wow, they put a lot of effort into that.
Exactly. And they're getting off, and here we see the mysterious girl in white getting off with them.
With the hat.
Just a few frames going past you as they're coming out. I love the framing on this because there's just enough to make you notice her, but your eyes are immediately drawn back to the SOS Brigade in the background. And then we see them walking along, and I love Haruhi's stride here. She is just, she's full of confidence.
Strutting her confidence there. She's
exactly.
Everybody else sort of meandering along, and bobbing along, but she's got the strut.
Yeah, it's actually interesting here how straight up and down everyone is. This is a very clear contrast between everyone. Little sister is a little forward on her feet. Mikuru is kind of looking down and talking with her. One might say that maybe Mikuru and little sister are at a similar sort of emotional level, but that's about as far as we'll go on that one.
Now they've been pondering what kind of place are they going to? This deserted island, and who's the architect? Was he related to Gaudi? I mean, who they have all these different things, and so trying to expect. No, it's just a deserted island. It was a normal architect.
And then we see the boat they're going to take out.
We're just going to take you out on a boat.
More like a yacht.
Huge boat.
Thing. So we have a butler and a maid, classic. But the butler is a little older. And
a maid on the yacht.
Exactly.
To take you to the private island.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
But it's not a haunted island. It's just a deserted island.
It's a deserted island. Mikuru is very interested in the maid.
Yeah.
And she's really studying her very closely. Why might that be?
I wonder. Maybe because she's been put in the maid outfit so much. So that's what a real maid does. Okay, I will adjust.
I finally see what it's like in real life.
Real maid behaves like that.
And it's interesting how both of these characters are classic maids in the real world sense. You know, the butler answers their questions, the maid answers their questions. She's very calm, she's very polite, but there's nothing weird about them. There's nothing strange.
They don't get involved on a personal basis, but they're there to help and answer questions.
They're staff.
They're staff.
And here is their island.
Now they're pulling up on this island at a good clip.
Yeah, getting.
There was somebody on the dock there.
There is. So this is the son of the master of the house, who's going to be joining them, which Kozumi never bothered to mention.
Oh, by the way.
So the younger brother of the master of the house, not the son. So they pull in. He's very nice to do that. Again, I want to point out there's time spent on the animation here. Watch how he behaves and moves when they come in. So he sort of shifts over to the side and then sort of ducks down to grab a rope and brings it over to them. So they're actually showing how he's behaving on the dock, which is pretty nice.
Wow. Well, that's quite a walk up.
It's quite a walk. There. And in fact, we can actually see them walking. I don't know if you can tell there on the left side of the screen. That is them. That is them walking. Yeah.
Wow.
So off they go.
It must be a haul to get groceries up there.
Kidding. Guess that's why you have staff. So what's the master going to look like? The incredibly wealthy master of the house. What are we going to get?
Is this a scary movie?
No.
He's pretty normal. Where's the mystery?
And here's one of the first shockers of the episode.
Yeah, he's a normal guy.
Yeah, and then the next big shocker.
She's very formal.
She's very formal. She comes up. She's very polite.
My colleagues.
Colleagues.
How formal! I'm here with my colleagues. These are not my students, my classmates, my buddies, my chums. These are my colleagues.
Yeah, and the whole thing is very much, we're very pleased to be here. Thank you very much for inviting us. It's a sort of classic Japanese.
Very polite.
Exactly.
Very formal in that. And of course, he's expecting her to be more straightforward, which I suppose is implying that she can relax and be more casual.
Well, I think
in her straightforwardness.
Kozumi's probably told him a few stories about how much of a firebrand Haruhi can be.
Let's play baseball. Okay, next week football, maybe American football.
He's kind of surprised, but then you realize that's just so that she can start asking all the questions as quickly as possible. And she has every possible,
it's quite a space weirdness there between them.
There is.
She could bridge that gap a little bit, but she's standing down at a lower level and waiting to be.
And it's a great example of, again, one of these things where technically that's the house. She can't go up there until she's been invited by the master of the house to come in. And he hasn't literally said, please come in. So she's standing there, she's asking the questions, everyone's kind of standing around. I love you can actually see Kyon's frowning a little bit there on the side, frustrated with her her constant questions. But that's kind of what you expect from Haruhi. No, nothing special. It is a Western style house.
Western style house, and they can wear their shoes.
Yeah. Which is
traditionally a Western thing.
Exactly.
Something in the East where people remove their shoes when they go to the house. And,
yeah.
A lot of other countries do that as well.
And that's probably a hint that the master of the house is a little more international. He's traveled globally. Yeah, he's more used to these kinds of things. In fact, the whole house looks a little bit more like a hotel.
Like a resort.
Yeah, exactly.
Resort hotel.
Which is probably where he spent a lot of his time, whatever business
Which
he's in.
would influence his decorating tastes.
Right.
And if he did it himself, of course, being the master of a place on a private island, he may have delegated that to somebody.
True, yes. He probably didn't build it himself.
No.
And here again, we see some of that beautiful Kyoto animation approach to visuals in this series. They try to be very cinematic in Haruhi Suzumiya, and you see this almost fisheye lens applied to this shot of all the characters in the room as Haruhi gathers them around to discuss, what they're going to do. And of course, Haruhi immediately decides, okay, there's got to be a mystery, something's going on.
It's suspicious because it's not suspicious. That's why.
Exactly.
It's too normal. That's suspicious.
John's having none of it.
Twinge.
Exactly.
But it's the sun.
Yeah. Callan's trying to get her to calm down a little bit. And she's, all right, fine. Well, we'll go to the beach. Now, here's a great example of how almost every anime of this type will have the beach episode.
Gotta have the beach
episode. The swimsuit episode.
Yeah.
And so how do we deal with the swimsuit episode here? I really appreciate how they have the characters here. Because while you see the various, of course, Yuki's reading, never stops reading. And
we're back to everybody.
Very
social. No. No, in the book.
So
not even looking at them.
Not even looking at it. No.
Splash.
They're all splashing each other a little bit. Which is cute. Kozumi decides to have some fun.
Oh. Little sister.
Yeah. Haruhi invites them into the water.
Splash.
So we get some very nice things.
Oh.
Get a little bit of fan service there.
Jet ski.
So there's Kozumi
with
leading along.
With an inflatable banana. Giant
I love how
water banana.
Haruhi's loving it.
Yeah.
Little sister's loving it.
Holding on for dear life. Eyes closed.
When
is it over?
Yuki's reading.
Everybody relaxing with you. Still reading.
Still
even
reading.
in two.
Oh, heck, she was reading even on the jet ski. So there they are going. Hey.
Yeah. The water skiing. Yeah, it's
right.
It's
whatever.
easy for aliens. You just I do that in my spare time while I'm reading.
Yeah, but that's the entire swimsuit sequence.
It wasn't
overdone.
Standard beach experience.
Exactly.
You go and have fun. Here's the fun. Different types of fun.
Yep.
when you've got your own private island.
Yeah.
And that works up an appetite.
So they're all having fun. They're all eating, and we see here also it is a more or less Western style food. Obviously, they're eating with knife and fork. Although Haruhi doesn't care. Get her chopsticks. But we see kind of a combination of things. We have rolls, cross rolls, but also some kind of shrimp meal as well, which Yuki just eats and eats and eats and eats.
And the orange juice.
Probably fresh squeezed.
They're excited. Haruhi's like, it's free! I wish school was like that.
Can't believe all this stuff is free.
Night on the beach.
Yep.
Time for fireworks.
Never look directly at the fireworks.
Yeah,
that's not a good
bad
idea.
Ooh, those look like fun.
Yeah, so setting off these fireworks that twirl around and spin in air, which is a lot of fun.
Picture.
Of course, they all have to go out and find look for ghosts.
Jungle.
Yeah, at night.
The snake.
Snakes. Do very well. Poor little sister freaks out a little bit there. But what happens next day?
It's a
typhoon,
which is the southern hemisphere equivalent of sort of like a tornado.
Yeah, in the water. Yeah. It's a
typhoon.
Yeah,
it's a typhoon. It's a typhoon.
Yeah. And it's of course typhoons hit Japan very often.
They're out on the water.
Yep.
Big swaths of open ocean, catches the weather, brings it right in.
Yep.
And they're on an island, so there's not a lot of stuff to stop it before it gets to them.
Yeah.
They get the brunt of it.
This is one of the problems actually with a lot of the islands around Japan is that especially if you're a really small island, there is no land between you and anything else. So they tend to get hit really hard with typhoons.
Got to build to last.
Yeah, this can be a very scary thing. If you're out there and a typhoon hits, I mean, that can level a house real quick. But it doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's heavy, it's rainy.
Bending the trees.
Everybody's
stuck inside.
Yeah, but everyone seems pretty much okay. The master has decided not to come out this morning. He's not a morning person.
He's not a morning person, and he's
was it not of a pleasant disposition
until
early. And of course Haruhi's annoyed because
can't
venture out. And we see this beautiful animation.
Yeah,
I love how they show the waves crashing against
their boat is being thrashed there.
Absolutely.
Wow. I hope they have some good bumpers on that.
And
otherwise they're stranded.
Exactly. And they do a great job too of showing even the rope that's lashing them onto there, sort of bouncing back and forth,
being yanked about.
It really feels like that boat is on there and running around in the waves. And also to that point, a boat like that isn't gonna. They're heavy enough that they're meant to just sway back and forth, but not really bounce up and down all the time. So thank you, Kaiser Damon, for your love.
Gundam.
Love you all too. Open Gundam stuff.
Yeah.
Check out the show. Check out the show.
Oh, yeah. The game room. Yeah, you're stuck inside.
Full we have a game room. Holy
full casino, pool table.
Great little ping pong moment. So this is
finals. 9-ball.
Yeah.
Poker table.
So we should point out that we have a little moment here with Haruhi playing ping pong, done in the most dramatic style possible.
She's going for the kill shot, or is it a serve? And with her, it could be either. Look at the ball.
Ball's all deformed in space.
From the power she hits it with.
So they're making references back here to all the sports anime where you always see the pitcher and he makes the incredible pitch. So she's doing that a little bit here.
Dive!
Way too much for Mikuru.
Passionate.
And they play, as you mentioned, 9-ball.
Mahjong.
Some Mahjong.
Oh, we should do a thing on
that. Would be good.
Mahjong.
Someone was actually mentioning that in the chat room, saying, but then that'd take like 40 minutes to explain Mahjong. That's a good point. Yep. So again, here we have a little hint about things. So and here's another good quick moment. So we get a little thing with little sister trying to engage Yuki, who doesn't care. So will Haruhi, aka God, lose Mahjong? What do you think?
I doubt it.
I doubt it. But we get this wonderful little callback to Hikaru no Go. Bam!
The way he's holding it is even like a ghost stone. Whack! A
little bit of a the finger of God thing.
Yeah, the hand of God move.
But Haruhi wins.
She pulls that.
Not even paying any attention.
They did sort of a drawing straws there with a chopstick.
Yeah, that's some kind of mahjong thing. I don't know what's going on there. One of the complexities is that there are 1,000 different variations of mahjong. Within Japan alone, I'm sure. So there's probably something
like a memory game. You start with a tile.
Yeah. That is the traditional sort of mahjong 4-person game.
Many jongs.
Many jongs, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Magic came back down. He's heading out. He has some work to do. Wonder what that is.
Well, I suppose a guy who's as wealthy as him has business matters to attend to all the time.
Financial matters.
Keeping a hand on things.
And so here we get a little hint of what's going on. So we cut really quickly to a clock, and we see it is set to 11 p.m.
That's pretty late.
That's pretty late.
Early.
Or early.
They had dinner, right? So.
But now we see them in their pajamas. That's a hint. It is a little later. So what?
That's a chopstick there.
It's a chopstick. So they're playing a traditional Japanese game called something like King of the Group, King of the Hill, something along those lines. Basically, you have a bunch of chopsticks. One is the longest. You all sort of draw straws essentially, and then whoever gets the longest chopstick gets to order somebody else to do something. So a little truth or dare kind of idea.
Nice.
And so
that's a fun little game.
Yeah, exactly. And then you switch them up. And so Haruhi tells Yuki to do a coquettish little thing.
Sit in a chair.
Turn around and say,
over your shoulder and say,
"Yes, I love you."
No!
it off.
With feeling.
With feeling. Now,
Do it again.
there's something going on here that, yeah, everyone's expressions are great. That it's hard to notice unless you pay really close attention. And that is part of the sort of the continuity that they're kind of hinting at here. What's not in this shot? What's missing from this shot that that should be there but isn't? Where are Yuki's glasses?
Oh,
yeah, she's not wearing glasses. Isn't that
Does she only need them to read, or?
Well, it's unclear.
That's weird.
You know, that's kind of an interesting thing to note.
I knew there was something different. She looks
a little different.
Different. Yeah.
So we can find out about that. Actually, we'll go to the back to them all talking. Can't even see from there.
Was she wearing glasses when she was reading while she was water skiing? Oh wait, she didn't.
No glasses here. No glasses there while she's reading. The glasses seem to be gone. Why?
Her eyesight must have gotten better, huh?
Something strange.
What's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
What did she use them for? Is she nearsighted or farsighted?
Good question. We have this wonderful little moment of them all trying to play a game and reading again.
No glasses.
No glasses. Little sister's sleeping. It's we've seen already. It's 1 a.m. Because of course you got to stay up when you're on your vacation.
It's a vacation. Right? Have fun.
Get hit by a pillow.
Pillow fights.
Yeah, so Haruhi just throws that right there.
And she's gone and gathered all the pillows from the second floor. She is well equipped for this pillow fight. She's not going to lose.
I love how Kyon just walks right into it, and Kozumi just happens to be walking behind. Oh, he understands what's going on. He happened to notice what's happening.
There was a reason all those pillows were missing. It couldn't be the Esper insight. Oh, the butler shows up.
The butler, and. And so here we get into the meat of the episode, near the end here, where the master hasn't been seen.
Where has that guy been?
Exactly. So we saw him, and just to kind of get into the mystery thing here, we saw him the other day. He came down to the game room.
Yeah.
So in the middle of the day, he was certainly there. He went up to take care of some business, but he's not answering the door, and his door's locked. Oh. And only he has the key, of course. So you see how everyone just starts getting a little more serious. And they start deciding, okay, we got to do something. Haruhi very nicely says, "Little sister, you stay here. Let's not have her involved in what's going on." Now, here's an interesting thing. Haruhi runs up, stops, looks down the corridor, wondering what's kind of
door number 1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah, exactly. At which point, everyone else runs past her, and Kyon runs to the appropriate door. And what do you think that might mean? Why? What's going on there?
Does she not know which one's the master's door, or is she not as crazy to run into a situation without some semblance of caution?
That might be the hint.
John pretty much walks into disasters.
Yeah, I should say Kozumi is the first one to run past her. But I mean, here's the thing. What has Haruhi been saying the whole time? She wants adventure.
She wants adventure, and now there's adventure. What has happened to the master? The plot thickens.
And suddenly I think she's a little overwhelmed.
Uh-oh, I might have gotten what I've asked for.
Right.
This could be bad.
Yeah.
It could be good. It could be scary. Who knows what it could be?
Yeah, it's exciting, but my gosh, what are the implications?
Yeah.
It is a little scary. I also want to mention that even animate her hair blowing as he runs past. And everyone runs past her. And so they bang on the door, whereupon, of course, we have to kind of bang down the door and force it down. Everyone's a little worried. Yuki doesn't care at all. And they're all pushing against the door.
Perhaps, as Liquid Snake says, those glasses are for show.
Yeah, perhaps just for look, just possibly. So Kyon comes down and they
break down the door.
They break down the door, and I love the framing of the shot. Where
and the face.
Kyon comes down, and there's a foot in front of him, and there is no earthly good reason for a foot to be in that position. On the floor. Yeah. Still with the shoe on. Or the sandal, the flip-flop. The sandal, exactly. Something's wrong. Another hint, he hasn't shaved in a little while. Yeah. And we get this wonderful little sort of horror flash as we zoom up or pan up his body.
He's laying on his
He's
back.
laying on his back, and
With a
there's
knife!
even a knife stuck
A knife stuck in his shirt
in
pocket.
his shirt pocket. Yep.
But not the way you would want to keep it in your
no,
shirt pocket.
No.
Through his shirt pocket, into his heart,
Yeah.
covered with blood.
Oh, that's pretty
It
bad.
looks like a steak knife.
It's like a steak knife. It sure does. That's problematic.
Adventure is here now.
Adventure is here now. Yep.
You have got your adventure.
So here we have our first real detective story. And we've definitely got a mystery on our hands. So what did you think of this episode? What did you think of and particularly in this one, we have an episode with a lot of build-up. A very clear set of moving from introduction through to other elements.
It's very entertaining, and it catches you off guard because it is so normal. There's something suspicious about it, because we know with her nothing is normal.
Yep.
At least not for long.
True.
So they had me with suspense. Once the music started, okay, suspense music. Something's coming.
Yep.
Something's coming. I'm not sure where it is. It's coming.
And what's funny about it too is that, like, right from those first few minutes, they're saying, okay, there's going to be some weird detective mystery story. And it's all signs are pointing to it. And we get not only a mystery, we get the most cliched, obvious mystery.
Deserted island, a big house, a butler, a maid, and a group of people.
Yes. Whereupon somebody dies of being stabbed stabbed in the chest, locked door. Only he has the key.
How did the killer get into the
I
room?
know.
Did they crawl out the window? Does somebody else have
find
a
out.
key?
And who has the motive?
Who has the motive? Why? The guy's a nice guy. He's letting people stay there.
Exactly. What would happen? And here's the other weird thing. Who are the suspects?
Who are the suspects?
Yeah.
When did they separate? When was he killed? When was he last seen? Everybody's been together since the
That's
day
true.
before in the break room.
Now, we also do know that, and they kind of established earlier on, that the girls are sleeping in one room, the boys sleeping in another, which also means that they've all been together in one way or shape or form the entire time.
You know, I think they all have a motive, because she cannot get bored.
That's true.
They might have killed her to keep her from getting bored. But who would have the guts to do something like that, or the insanity to do something? Kill. I mean, it's one thing to kill. Well, I guess if the fate of the universe is
true.
But is the fate of the universe really depending on them killing somebody to keep her entertained?
Right. You think you do something a little less.
Yeah, have him
strong.
disappear, throw him in the yacht and sink the yacht, or send it off. He's gone, and he's like taking the yacht. He stranded us. Lock him in a basement and say, "Well, where'd he go?"
Yeah. So it's quite the mystery. It's very, very odd. So look what in the chat room is asking. I'd like to know the thought process behind this series. Like, how are things planned for the show to work in two different orders? As you said, this episode doesn't occur until much later if you're watching chronological order. Correct. This is episode 10 chronologically, but we're only on episode 6 in broadcast order. So partly it was just to do it, but a lot of it was because basically they designed it out, and then they looked at how things are explained in the course of the series.
What gives the best suspense? What grabs people and pulls them in? If you tell all the secrets up front, then it's not as exciting a story.
And that's the thing. So you watched Trigun, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've watched Trigun. A lot of you have seen Trigun. In the original, I can't say this without getting into spoilers. So basically,
the mystery of Trigun had me go and say, "Okay, I'm gonna watch this from the beginning. What's going on here? Why are these guys? What?"
Well, that's the funny thing. The manga, the manga explains a lot of that up front. So the manga, okay. So spoiler alert: if you haven't seen Trigun, put your hand over your ears for the next 10 seconds. In the manga, you see the spaceships as the first frame of the first panel.
Spaceships.
Yeah.
Ah, spoilers.
So you know where they came from. The whole stuff on the ships is front-loaded into the manga. When they were going to do the anime staff looked at that and said, it's going to be a more interesting story if we start on the planet, explain all that, and then get into backstory later.
Yeah. because that catches your attention, pulls you in, and says, "Okay, well, what's going on?" It creates those questions in your mind that you want answered.
Right.
Where with a book, you've already bought into sitting down and reading it, so you have to develop some connection immediately that will keep the reader engaged.
Yeah.
So it's a different approach for a different medium.
Exactly. And when you're writing novels, you have to make that first novel more or less self-contained. You have to have some payoff in that first novel. Who knows if you'll be able to publish the second novel, or the third, or the fourth. So it makes sense to not be quite as mysterious as you're going to be when you're adapting much more content as you are for an anime series.
I think animation, anime specifically, and motion video, can get away with being more enigmatic in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because it generates those questions.
Yeah.
Where with a book, you have to develop some route that people can associate with. Because if you start out too abstract, people have more effort when they try and read stuff. And if they have to put in too much effort, it's more of an active medium where motion video anime is more of a passive absorption. So
yeah,
keeping it digestible, I think but it's a very different approach for a different medium.
Exactly. Well, and also think, this series is going to adapt about 3 novels worth of material.
That's a lot to compress there.
Right, and they already skipped one of the earliest novels. I think the second novel. They completely skipped and made that into the movie, The Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya. So, so already they were saying, okay, this is too self-contained of a story, and it fits too well into a movie for us to adapt as part of the story. So they decided, okay, let's rework that, and we're gonna adapt that differently. So yeah, and that's the other thing, is that they knew they were doing 12 episodes, or 13 episodes. So they said, okay, let's figure out the best way of telling this story in that length of time. Here's the other thing too. It's different. It's remarkable. It is a way of approaching your audience and telling a story that they're not going to immediately understand, and so it engages you. It makes you say, okay, what's going on here? If for all of a sudden they're telling you things out of order, that's a great way of getting people interested in what's going on. I think it's a really smart way of doing it.
It did go from humorous and amusing to very, very serious.
Yes. And we're going to see more of that coming soon.
The idea of violence is it changes the mood.
Yes, it does. and exactly.
Everybody's having fun.
Right.
Dead guy, and he's the host.
Yeah.
How are you going to explain this? Honest officer, after you've walked up the hill, I'm sure you want to arrest somebody just because they walk up the hill.
And of course, they're trapped. They're on that island.
Get off the
They've got days to wait.
If their boat doesn't break up.
No kidding.
3-hour tour.
Oh yeah. I knew someone who recently went on a 3-hour tour, and the comments online were what you'd expect. Yes. So yeah, this is a very interesting place to give us our characters, and so we jump from the middle of a story to the end of one, and so we're going from Haruhi to Igata HK, the final episode, episode 12.
Final episode.
Exactly.
To reach her goal, she has to do how many guys per minute?
Gosh, like 3.
Oh wow. That's one every 20 seconds.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. So this episode starts kind of interestingly, and I think it's a great example or an indication of where the story is going, because we see both Kosuda and Yamada at home. Kosuda is getting the once-over from his older sister.
Oh, his sister. Okay, so this is right after
we should mention
the Christmas party.
Mm-hmm.
And they've gone home after the Christmas party.
They got to, I guess, second base?
Second base, yeah. And almost would have gotten further, but they had some interruptions.
True.
Trying to find the perfect spot took a little while.
Yep.
So they ran out of time.
And then they found the worst spot. So yeah, so Kosuda's come home, and again, this is kind of a hint about what's they're surprisingly subtle here. about what's going on here, because we cut back to them. It's kind of at night, and Kosuda is drinking. We realize this is the same night. So they've just come back.
Sister's going.
Well, here's the thing. He just got back from a party, and he's chugging this bottle of water. He's like, what kind of effort did you have to go through
Why
tonight?
do you need so much water? Sniff test.
Yeah.
The sister sniffing all places here.
Exactly.
Oh, you haven't yet, have you?
No, not quite.
Sheep.
But he does say,
I'm not a man yet.
and he asks her for advice about what he should do. And he says, I need to just tell Yamada that I want to have sex with her. You need to explain to me how to do that with all the details.
Which her response is just kind of surprising, because initially she's kind of taken aback by it. She's like,
Yeah, well, it's one thing to say that. It's another for him to come out and say it and to have to actually do that as well.
Yeah. After the sniff test, though, I thought she would have been more forthcoming with that kind of advice.
Well, it's an interesting point, because she's been awfully, how to put this, she's teased him a lot.
She's teased him. Yeah, so that may have been part of the teasing, and now she's being called on the, okay, put your money where your mouth is. If you're going to tease me, give me advice.
Right. Love the rice cooker in the background there, too. So,
oh, yeah.
A little example of Japanese story. So we come back to Yamada's little sister. So
little sister who's always got guys around is so
yeah.
much more mature than Yamada.
And it's post-Christmas, so all the gifts she's gotten from her friends. And not little gifts. I mean, my goodness.
The whole bed is covered.
She got a globe. My goodness, what's going on there? And so Yamada comes back. She has to get. And here again we have that that kabuki theater, pose there. Please help me.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And the little sister's a little surprised by this. She's like, okay, obviously this is a big deal.
She didn't notice my presence.
My presence, yeah. And Yamada says the exact same thing Kosuda did. I need to tell him I want sex with him, and I need to give me all the details. And that's the hint. They're starting to actually merge together. They're starting to actually.
They're on the same wavelength.
Exactly. Finally.
Even if she's asking her little sister, who knows.
That's the funny thing. So her little sister just entered high school. And she's like, I don't know. I haven't either.
She's not the perv.
Exactly.
You got the H.
I may have lots of guys around me, but no, we haven't done that yet. So Yamada, to her credit, immediately texts him and says, let's meet. Let's just meet at 8 a.m. this morning.
Yamada echoes. I mean, they're echoing each other. Basically.
They really are. And they start to steam.
But they're meeting at 6 in the morning.
I know.
So he gets the text message at 2 in the morning, and they're meeting at 6.
He's not going to sleep much.
Not much. And it's their home. It's their train station. Their local subway train station.
Glad you brought that up. In Tokyo, because there's so much public transit and there's so much going on, it just makes a lot more sense to orient things by train station.
That's the spot to meet.
Exactly.
Go from there.
Now, it should be pointed out, of course, they have different train stations.
Is he steaming?
He's steaming. She was steaming a bit
hot.
Too. He's sweating. And
did she just say? Did she just admit?
She just says it out loud. I want to have sex with you. She just says it directly to him. Just yells it out.
I want to have sex with you. Whoa!
It echoes everywhere. I love that.
If there were birds, they'd fly off. Wow!
Not so much at 6 in the morning.
No.
She's kind of embarrassed. He's a little embarrassed for her. Whereupon she walks off into the universe.
Okay.
I have no idea.
I said it, and I'm going to run away because I'm embarrassed now. I'm going to change the subject. Oh, so I like a TV show that has nothing to do with what I just said.
And he grabs her and says,
I want to.
I want it too. And suddenly, finally, and I love her rather sympathetic expression here. She, wow, we're on the same wavelength. And so then we cut to a train on its way with them on it, and they're holding hands a little bit. Kind of sweet. Because where are they going? They're going to Waka Chicka Wow Wow. And
The fear, the trepidation.
Fear, the trepidation. I love. They get there, and
a couple coming out. Of
like
course,
an older couple, middle-aged
them.
couple coming out.
Oh, we should do this again.
And we should mention here something we see on the side. There is 2 prices: stay and rest.
Stay and rest. So if you want it by the hour,
Mhm.
or if you're gonna sleep.
Yeah.
If you want it for being awake.
Not necessarily sleep.
Sleep.
We need it for the night.
If you need it for the entire night, if you're having a session.
Yes. And they just don't even want to
embarrassed
be here.
Seeing the people who are coming out. Oh, we're doing that.
Can they actually get up the nerve to go
my
in?
Goodness.
They're gonna need something.
Okay, we'll be able to do it. We'll do it.
Something's gonna have to.
Who comes running by, jogging on Christmas morning? And probably not much after 6 a.m.
Their teacher
Their teacher.
running down. No, can't be seen here. Can't be seen here. And it should be pointed out, a lot of schools forbid students from even having relationships. You can't date.
No fraternizing.
No fraternizing.
Ooh.
So much less being seen outside of a love hotel. That would probably tip her off.
By a teacher who knows them.
Right.
Embarrassing. And the sad thing is, they think, well, what's she doing at this early morning running on Christmas? Oh,
yeah. She did that.
Dedicated runners. That's what it is.
Yeah, it must be.
They've got the courage.
Got the courage. They're going down the room.
They got the key.
And we see a little hint here about how this works. We see a bunch of rooms where the sign is lit up, and another where it's flashing.
Occupy.
Right. So,
Don't knock.
You'll know which one is yours because it's lit up. Go to that one. And they go to another one of these absolutely ridiculously over the top.
In the round bed, mirrors halfway, a third of the way around it. And not only that, what's all this in the room? All
Everything.
sorts of accoutrements for a
everything you might need.
Tissues,
condoms, ashtray
for smoking afterwards. Big tub with mirrors by the tub.
Pretty nice, pretty nice.
And of course, Yamada's like, oh no, what do I do? What do I do? Should I shower first? Should I do this? Should I do that? And her Eros deity has some good advice. Why don't you focus on him?
What about that guy?
There's a guy involved in this too,
It also gets into that wonderful thing where she doesn't want to look like she's an amateur.
First timer.
Right. It's exactly what she is.
She should enjoy the moment.
Right.
I've never done. She could, but she's not very coy. She's not good at playing coy.
No.
She's not. She couldn't even.
That is not her thing.
That is not her.
So what does she do?
Was that his sister?
Yeah, little side thing of the sister.
Brushing her teeth. Psychic link there.
Yeah, but oh my gosh, what a thing for Yamada to do.
Pressure.
She puts on a certain tape to get him in the mood.
That's kind of weird.
It is.
If you have romantic interest in somebody and they put on porn,
yeah,
you're dividing your interests in weird ways, and she's projecting into his mind
right
what he's thinking, but it may not necessarily be what he's thinking.
Now, granted, I did know a woman who told all of her boyfriends, you can watch as much pornography as you want as long as I am in the same room with you.
Oh, wow.
And that was a very effective tool.
That is a very effective tool. It says, if you're going to kink,
I'm
going to know what that kink
is.
Yep.
Very smart.
And what do they have on but the same position that they were in last night?
Right.
Minus the chains on the
With the chains on the wall, yeah.
I think it was a 4-poster bed or something.
Yeah, exactly.
With curtains.
But they're a little shocked. Like, oh my gosh.
They're doing what we...
And I think this is a good point, is that the show is pointing out that it's not all that different.
Icebreaker. Hey, these people are doing what
the
and she's
things
like
you do are the things you do.
Yeah.
Sex isn't this huge magical thing that's so different.
Twitch.
So she's trying to turn him on, but it just turns her on all the more.
She's just, her mind must be racing with all the different. He makes a move.
Yeah.
Finally, he's going to take the lead.
Exactly.
And he's thinking of his sister's advice.
And I really appreciated this.
She actually did give him advice.
She gives him good advice. She gives him really good advice, which is
take it slow. Don't be a douche.
Yeah, don't just
time,
pull her clothes right off.
Her.
Yeah. Put your hand through her hair a little bit, stuff like that. She's a little embarrassed.
Don't
off to one
stampede toward the end
side.
goal.
Right. Of her little blush.
And of course, his sister has given him the whole
Yeah.
scheme.
He wanted the details.
He got him.
And
he's trying to remember. Oh no, I bloated already. I went too fast. Oh wait, no. Okay, take it easy.
So I really like this. So
Slow ride.
he leans down to kiss her. She kind of relaxes into it.
They get into.
And so he relaxes into that. And they have this very nice, very consensual.
Very consensual.
Thank you.
Yes.
Exactly. So he goes to start taking off clothes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Slow down, and he runs into the typical problem.
The classic bra problem. And again, I really appreciate kind of how they dealt with this. Where
She's like, how come he doesn't know how? Well, it's not like he puts one on every day. Is he not practicing on his sister?
No. So she does the right thing. She realizes the problem.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So she says, okay, let me take
Let
care
me
of
help.
this for you. Yeah, let me help it.
And
I'll take it off.
the slow reveal.
So reveal, take it off. And so now we get to, and now I'm going to have to kind of move things on a little bit.
Guys,
yes.
watch this yourself because we can't show this.
Yeah, exactly.
On PG rating.
Right. So and here's a good example. Now, as I'm sure you all know, this aired on television. How did they
television?
Yes.
Did they show this on television?
Well, that's an interesting way of putting it. We're watching the DVD. What was aired on
uncensored
DVD. So what's aired on television isn't necessarily what they put on the DVD.
Yes.
They can add shafts of light, and that's not a euphemism. Mosaics, shadow, all sorts of things.
An unknown light just beamed through the room. Suddenly somebody with headlights in the shining through the window obscures the view, or the steam. Somebody suddenly starts smoking, or a hot steaming bowl of soup is placed in front of coffee.
Right.
Why are this?
So, and again, we're gonna have kind of censorship,
but different styles of censorship. This that we watched was
not so much, and that is done partly to enhance DVD sales. Let's just be honest. If you go and you watch DVD, you get the uncensored version.
If I was watching the TV version, I'd expect a mosaic or censor.
Right.
If I bought the DVD, doggone it, I want to buy the DVD. Maybe have a show like this. I'm not going to have like a kids version, but if there was fan service that ventured into that area, I'd want like the PG version and the okay, this is my version.
Right.
So if I had parents who like to suddenly stumble into the room at the most opportune moments.
Right.
They wouldn't suddenly have a connection. All that stuff you watch.
So what happens?
It's not all like that.
So of course they're interrupted again. Yamada accidentally hits. Oh, but I should mention again. We can censor things. So they decide to actually get it. They both get naked. They both get under the covers, and they have this problem that since they're under the covers, they have no idea where anything is.
I haven't looked enough. I didn't bring a map. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. And it's all both their first time.
And it's a classic problem where obviously the girl's kind of embarrassed, the guy's kind of embarrassed. You know, you don't want to do this with all the floodlights on.
The textbook setup was over there.
But, you know, a little bit of indication of what's going on would help. So they start moving into things, and Yamada accidentally hits the control for the bed.
Reaching back.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Bang. Whereupon,
and it's not just the control. It's like it seems like she hits it and it's out of order.
Oh yes,
it goes into sparks and shocks and turns on all the vibrations and.
You got to imagine that the electronics here don't get that much service, you know, so to speak. They just, you know, they kind of wear out
all
after
the
a
bells
while.
and whistles at a love hotel. You know, you got to have the vibrating bed. You got to have the mood lighting that comes on, and if it goes bad, it can go bad.
Yeah. So poor Kosuda gets thrown off and thrown into the hospital with a broken leg.
A broken leg and a head.
And
hit his head,
everything.
hit his leg.
Yeah.
Suddenly they have an ambulance. They've got to come to the love hotel.
I love
to
this.
pick them up. Oh.
Thank goodness for doctor-patient confidentiality. I do love how Yamada has this moment where she says, "Why is the universe trying to stop me
It's like the Twilight Zone experience. No,
Twilight Zone experience.
Why does the universe hate me?
Whereupon her Eros deity jumps in and says, "Yeah, pants off, universe."
Pants off, universe. Pants off, universe. Oh, that's funny.
I have no idea what the original line is. That was great.
Yamada, the angel in white.
Right. So now we get the little moment, and of course, Kosuke has to kind of confess that it didn't really happen. So Yamada's, okay, how do we deal with this? So she's going out. Now, I want to know what this is a reference to. I mean,
these guys look like characters.
Yeah, I mean, it looks almost like Doraemon or something like that. I don't know, but it definitely references something. I'm not sure why.
And of course, in the background, there's always the condom advertisement. And since it's in a hospital, he's wearing a mask.
Always make sure to wear a mask if you're in a hospital and you need a condom.
You don't want to spread. You don't want to spread or catch anything.
No, exactly. But Yamada hears this. Overhears this conversation about how sexy nurses are, and she has the realization. What's she gonna do? She's gonna wear the sexy nurse outfit.
Sexy nurse, and she's got the garters showing.
Mm-hmm.
She's got the hat. She's worked up.
But Miyano is there.
Miyano's already beat her to there. And as shy as she is, and as wonderful as she is, bringing the food to her childhood.
And that's a lot of food. That's a big
lot
box.
Of food. Well, hospital food is awful.
Right.
He's got to be there. Oh, that expression.
That expression.
That's cute.
Fabulous.
She's
so angry.
She's angry. She looks cute that way.
She's like, so you had to take her all the way to the door and back, even though you're on crutches? What's going on here? And granted, I mean, she's frustrated because she's gone through all this to try to, let's just say, cheer him up.
I'll never understand her, but I'm getting used to her.
I love that line. I'll never understand her, but I'm getting used to that.
And while all this is happening, life goes on at the hospital, and who interrupts but the nurse comes in. So what does Yamada do? She hides
under the sheets on top of him.
Is the nurse not going to notice this? I wonder if the nurse is just messing with Kosuke
I think so.
Point. Hey, I'm going to hit on him. There's obviously somebody under there. Oh, your girlfriend was so sweet. Oh, no, she's not my girlfriend.
Oh,
gee, he's got
a really
some
cute guy.
There. But who arises to
Oh, yes, yeah, someone arises to vacation. Whereupon Yamada, of course, misinterprets. Thinks he's having great thoughts about
it's the nurse who came in. He's getting excited.
Right.
Whack!
As opposed to the nurse that's sitting on top of him.
Gives up the ghost.
Gives up the ghosts. It's done. So she kind of walks out, and she realizes what's going on.
His expression.
Oh, but as soon as she talks to him, things are right again.
My Eros was
So we get into a little bit of sexy play here, which works out very well. And he offers to do the same thing to her.
He's got his eyes mesmerized.
Yep.
Now they play doctor.
Mm-hmm. Oh, play doctor a little bit. He can see under the skirt, a dress skirt thing.
Takeshita.
But of course, the nurse comes in again. So that doesn't work out too well, unfortunately. But we go back and we see that they are watching the red and white contest. I believe that's the right term for it.
Did we see Takeshita's quick mental telepathy to Takeshita?
I forgot about that.
Takeshita suddenly gets this mental telepathy from Yamada, asking questions.
What should I do? No!
Shut up! Her boyfriend's going, huh? What's going on? But you can tell she just feels it.
So they're watching the red and white contest, which is a contest that happens every New Year's. On TV, where they get a bunch of Japanese thing. They get together various stars to do a singing contest, dancing, acting contest, basically. Mostly, it's basically singing. And they're divided into two teams, red and white. And I believe the girls are white and the guys are red. It's this big competition, sort of an American Idol kind of thing over the course of the evening. And then one is crowned victorious at the end of the night.
Wow.
Doesn't mean anything, but, you know.
Still, it's a fun little thing to do.
It's
between Christmas and New Year's.
Right, exactly. It's sort of a big 3-hour event. So this is our hint. It's the end of the year. And so he's back from the hospital. He has his camera. And everyone
New Year's Eve, everybody showed up. Oh, that's
nice.
cool.
Everyone's
all the
there.
friends. Wow. He can't go out to the shrine, so they come and visit him.
which is very nice.
Because he's got his cast on. He's
Yeah.
still recovering from a head thing. It's not so much the cast, but he'd fall or have trouble moving around.
Yeah, not so good.
But all the friends
walk off,
goodbye.
But it's kind of weird. Where's Yamada?
Takeshita comes through.
Good old Takeshita.
Everybody's going, where's Yamada?
She said, "Oh, she went
left
home.
already."
Yeah, no,
but she knows.
Yeah.
Yamada didn't leave. She did Yamada a solid. She came through.
Exactly. Yamada stayed behind,
and we saw this extra set of shoes by the doorway, signifying she was still there.
She was still there. So we get a little bat scene where Yamada comes in and decides to try to give Kosuda a little service. I love that little moment where she's struggling to take the cloth off of herself.
I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't.
Poor Yamada. I mean, she really pushes herself all the time so much.
She does.
She's always tried to do the most etchy thing possible in any circumstance, and it's always against her own better judgment, if you will, and her own sort of ability to do these things. And if she'd taken a little more calmly, I think she'd get a lot further. What do they say? Go slow to go fast.
Finally, the tub.
But she finally
she sits in a position where
he can't see anything.
He's getting hot. I mean, there's. He's in a hot tub.
Sure.
They decide to get out.
So they decide to watch it each other. Yeah, exactly. And so he gets really excited, a little too excited.
He stood up. The heat, the steam, the injury. He passes out. He hits the floor. Boom! He's down for the count.
With a head injury too.
With a head injury.
Poor thing. So.
Oh no! Do I hear sirens?
Yeah, we hear sirens. Wonderful little final moment with everyone wonders.
Everybody's at the shrine, and this is one of the things that's done. You make your wish at the shrine. You throw your coin into the box and try and get it in, and if you do, your wish is granted. And it's really fun hearing all the people at the shrine and the thoughts inside their heads, what they're wishing for, because it kind of reveals little aspects of their character that sometimes affirm their character. And
I love how what's everyone asking for? A boyfriend or a girlfriend? That's just that's what everyone wants here.
Boyfriend, girlfriend, make somebody happy, make myself happy.
Exactly. Keshida just wants Yamada to finally get a guy that you can stop asking questions.
She's one of my favorite characters. She's fun. She plays a good friend. She comes through in the end, even though she tries to advise Yamada. Sometimes Yamada just can't accept things, but she's got her own way. She's got to find her own way, and
exactly. I love that both Takeshita and her boyfriend are like,
please don't let Yamada ask any more of those awful questions.
And
meanwhile,
the less said about this, the better.
Oh my! The strangest triangle of. I mean, not even a triangle. It's just.
Yeah, the whole
Please don't let them get what they want.
Exactly. And what is Miyano wishing for?
She's wishing for Kosuda's happiness.
Yeah.
Not for her, and her little Eros deity pops up and says, "You're always wishing for somebody else. Why don't you do something for yourself?"
Right. So finally, he wishes.
And she blushes. But only when only happiness when she's with me.
Exactly.
Oh,
that's better. Yeah. That's better.
She's at least getting out there that effort.
Exactly. So it's finally the first day of the new year.
And he mentioned he had a private shrine, a family shrine.
Yeah, quiet little shrine out of the way that they're going to go to. And
small, no crowds.
It's remarkable here how much time they spent on the little details of this shot.
This is very, very, very typical of a shrine. You have the guarding post dogs and then the lanterns, and then you come right up and then the bell.
You ring the bell.
You get the arch before the shrine.
Yep. And they do their little bows, and they do their
the prayer, the wish,
the little wish. He asks what she wishes for, and she wants the same thing he wants.
I want the same thing you want.
Exactly.
We finally figured out we're on the same wavelength. Now it's just a matter of working out the details. But alas, it is the end of the series.
Exactly. So what were your thoughts overall?
I think she'll finally grow into a mature perspective on relationships. she'll probably get laid
Yeah.
with him. But I think she'll come to the conclusion that relationships take work, and there's more to it than just the mere side of sex. She started to grow in those areas.
Yeah.
And she's working out her inability to communicate her feelings a little better.
Yeah.
Her sister may be able to guide her more.
Hopefully. Well, she's surrounded by people who seem to be giving her good advice.
Level-headed.
Same thing with Kosada. We certainly.
Of course, Kosada's friends now. They may have some different. His classmates may have some different things in mind.
True.
But that's typical guys.
That's the thing. Is that one of the nice things about the show is it's not predatory.
Right.
The characters all
slice of life.
Right.
Slice of life.
They want their stuff, but it's not at the expense of anyone or anything, which is quite nice. And what did you think overall about the view about the how they handled Kanajo and her sort of desires?
It's interesting that they came out with this. It was something that it portrayed an aspect of love that was not just in English. The language, the word love is limiting. In Greek, there were several words for love, each describing a different aspect of love: eros, philos, agape. And eros is, of course, erotic love. Philos is like brotherly love. Agape is like universal God love. God's love. And so we see an aspect of love that goes beyond brotherly love to and sort of a twist on that with the erotic interests of a sister for her brother.
Well, it's funny because we see,
and it's not just a normal portrayal of that love. We see she goes over the top. She has a room, a secluded room, which she knows it's not a socially acceptable thing. Her obsession with her brother.
Exactly.
So she sequesters it.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is that she does not appear to have an overtly, let's just call it, sexual attraction to her brother. She's just obsessed with him.
She's obsessed with him.
She really, really, really just kind of wants to spend the rest of her life with him. It doesn't appear to be physical in any specific way.
They haven't actually.
Yeah, and she doesn't even seem to want a physical relationship in that sense.
It seems that she hasn't really explored beyond the surface. And I wonder if some of this was separation.
Well, it's an interesting thing.
In a whole other country.
Well, in a way, it's a very childish love. It's that, I can't have him, so nobody can have him. Looking up to your older brother. We've all seen little kids who just, cling to you and just,
No, you can't. I want all of your attention.
Exactly.
Attention for me. Me. No one else in your life.
Exactly. So
don't look over there and look back at
me. And it's like she's had some of that, and it's kind of been pushed up to the nth degree.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. They never really push it too far.
Yeah.
It's definitely.
It would have taken a very different turn had they done that.
Yes.
I don't think it would have had a Funimation backing release or who is it? Was it Funimation?
I think it was Funimation. Yeah.
Because I heard a number of Funimation voice actors on there. So, I think it would have ended up one of those things that would not have been released in the manner that it was released had it taken that kind of twist.
Yeah.
Which makes me wonder what the original translations
really indeed.
Did they leave anything out to
you wonder. And
hopefully,
certainly the Funimation dub of Kadocha had some slightly more mature jokes in it that they decided not to translate the same way in the dub. And they went back to the original staff, and that was fine with them. But they were like, I don't think the folks are going to quite understand the fact that this little girl is using the word pimp and doesn't know what that word means. It's going completely over her head. But I think our audience is going to freak out too much at the use of the word. But I also really appreciated the fact that her older brother Keiichi that goes completely over his head. There's just nothing there. He doesn't even see it. He's just this guy, you know.
And he's such a nice guy too.
Yes.
He is.
I was really worried about
set
that.
to see him as the villain, the guy who's going to destroy everything. No, he's a genuinely nice guy, and he doesn't act like a jerk. He acts naturally for a person who's interested, but he doesn't go overboard. Wow.
That was the big surprise of the series for me, actually.
Sparkle, sparkle.
Because everything up to that point had been dealing with all these relationships in a way, in a pattern that was pretty well set down. And then he comes in, and he's just this very nice guy, very reasonable, and he kind of, he's also, ironically, the person who kind of pushes everything forward. I think everything got kind of static at that point, where no one was kind of doing anything, and then suddenly Kosada had a rival, a serious rival. And Yamada suddenly had somebody who wanted her that she could react against and say, no, I don't want you. Well, then who do you want? I thought that was really smart of them. Yeah. So yeah, that's Yamada's first time. Any other final thoughts on that series?
Well, I almost want to see some of these characters spin off into their own stories.
Mm-hmm.
Childhood friends gotta have some satisfaction. You know, what happens a year from now, 2 years from now? I mean, when they graduate.
So here's the question: do you want to see the sequel sort of summation movie, OVA, or TV series?
I think OVA would be good.
I agree.
If I don't think I could handle a series.
Yeah.
I just want an epilogue.
Yeah.
And one thing that I just continually think about is how wonderful some of these euphemisms have been put into English, because obviously there's going to be some big differences in translations of euphemism and pun and certain things that just don't translate from Japanese. But whoever the folks were who translated and changed it and adapted it to an English audience did a fantastic job of it. I mean, they really, you know, it doesn't feel like an unnatural translation.
No.
Where sometimes when you listen to the English version, you say, that didn't exactly come over as a natural English.
And it's a classic problem of translation adaptation, is that you got something that doesn't have an equivalent. What do? Do you get as close as you can to the original language? Do you get a natural, mild equivalent in the target language? You know, how do you do it?
You make up something really good that will replace it.
Well, that's what Crispin Freeman says. As he said, you know, these things will live forever on DVD. You know, this will always exist in some way, shape, or form, barring an apocalypse. So, you know,
and even then, we have to back up somewhere.
Right.
in the Akashic memory of all the universe.
Right. Yuki probably has it somewhere. So you've got to make an adaptation that is going to be as best as possible for your audience. So here's another question, and I think it's a good place to sort of end a discussion of any series. What would you do differently if you were making Yamada's first time? Doesn't have to be better or worse, it's just your personal preference, which is something about the show that you would have done differently.
That's a tough one, because it's hard to jump into someone else's story and say where you would take it. There's so many different things, and once you step in a stream, everything is different downstream. It's never the same stream twice.
Yeah.
So I think I would like to see her. I'd like to see Yamada in more social situations and how she deals with others' reactions when she goes overboard and they catch her going overboard.
Good point.
Because it seems that she has that duality where she can express herself crazy good to one person or herself, but when it comes to the person she loves or a group setting, she doesn't always handle that expression in the same way. And I wonder how she responds. It seems like she's oblivious to a lot of feedback from her friends, but it is kind of sinking in to some degree.
Yeah.
maybe Keiichi in the U.S. I want to see more of the development of their family.
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
And where are all these people's parents? How come all these kids are living all by themselves?
Yeah, no kidding.
Parents don't exist.
Yeah, it's apparently don't. Apparently they don't.
What happens after you're 24?
Yeah. Or 15.
Or
My
15.
Gosh. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, there's. I completely agree. I think that would be an interesting a place to take it. I would like to see a little bit more with the storyline with Miyano. I really liked her character, and
that's right.
Yeah, I would have loved to
take her and let her run with it. Oh, she could be a. I mean, she could be more involved.
Well, and that's the thing. I would love to see, and it would be heartbreaking, but I'd love to see her dealing more with Kosuda and trying to do more with him.
Her approach, I think, is closer to Yamada's, except she doesn't have that barrier of communication. She's out there. I mean, she's not mature physically enough to really get out there and go crazy like Yamada wants to.
Which character? Miyano, the childhood friend.
No, the short one. With
no, I'm talking about the childhood friend.
You're talking about
the little girl character. I'm forgetting.
Actually, both of those characters I'd like to see more. I agree. And I'd like to see a little bit more between Yamada and them. And how they react, because I thought they were going to develop that relationship a little bit more. I thought there was going to be some rivalries that came out.
I think if this were a 26-episode series made 10 years ago, we probably would have seen all that.
Probably would have eventually gone in those locations.
It's interesting contrasting this with, say, His and Her Circumstances, which is one of my favorite shoujo high school romantic comedy type series. Because it's 26 episodes, and you do get all of that stuff. You do get all the characters and the backstory and why is that character feeling that way and so forth, which I think is great. And a show like this is unfortunately constrained. But yeah, it's a credit to the series that the side characters are fun enough.
Yeah,
you want to see more.
You want to see them.
Yeah. So that's it for Yamada's first time. Any other final thoughts?
Wow.
Yeah.
That was funny. That was funny. That was unique in my experience in anime. And they've gone places that I have not seen people go.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely push the boundaries of how frank you can be about.
That's about as straightforward as I've seen in an anime that. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially as the central premise. I've certainly seen other series which are like, yeah, these are teenagers, and yeah, they're in a love hotel. That's happening. But it's certainly
to deal with all their emotions, their hang-ups, their fears, their anxiety, their projection. That's something that really gets into the inner workings of a person's mind and psyche, and it develops it more than the ones where I've seen teenagers in a love hotel. I know where this is going. Where did I get this one from? Or
this wasn't licensed. I was licensed by them. Never mind.
Oh. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, lock the door.
Right.
No one's coming in on this one.
Right. Cool. All right. Yeah. So that's Yamada's first time. We will be back next time.
What are we gonna do next?
That's a very good question. So we have more Haruhi, and then next week we will be looking at a little show called Boogie Pop Phantom.
Boogie Pop Phantom.
Boogie Pop Phantom. This is a series from, I believe, 1999 or 2000. It is based on a wildly popular series of light novels. In fact, it's sort of the Harry Potter of light novels. And it's a 12-episode anime series, often lumped in with Serial Experiments Lane, of that kind of style and approach. With
content or animation?
Visual style.
Visual style. I like Lane.
It's very different, and also just being a more thoughtful series that's a little more abstract. It doesn't give you all the answers right up front. You got to kind of work on it.
A thinking anime.
Exactly. Also, Crispin Freeman plays one of the main characters, and also adapted the story for English. So it'll be interesting seeing how he took it. So that'll be the plans. Episode 1 next week. That's the plan. Thank you all for joining us. See you next week. Goodbye. Exactly. All right. So, oh shoot, I did the wrong thing.
Stand by.
Four. Wait.
Gong. Wake up, computer.
Ooh.
Horizons.
The new show
With Brent.
and Evan. When news breaks,
We fix it. Coming to you from around the world, down the block, and in your backyard.
Exactly. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. 1 second. I forgot to pull in the appropriate imagery. I suck.
No!
I suck.
No!
Where is it? Where's the thing?
Help me, Chiron, help me.
Help me, Obi-Wan. No, that's not it either. Wow. Where are those images? There they are. What do you know?
Images.
News. But how am I going to do this? Because I need to. You know what I'm going to do? Give me 3 seconds to switch this over. This will all get cut out. Don't worry. It'll all be fine. You don't have to worry about any of it. We're going to stop mirroring. I told you to stop mirroring. Oh, I want you to stop mirroring.
I'm going to reflect on this.
Where's Where's I'm going to stop mirroring. You'll see you'll see a samurai.
I like the wallpaper and the
Yeah.
iching. He's standing in a circle of iching.
Exactly.
What is it? 64 tetragram. All the
Sure. Yeah.
Symbols
Whatever that is.
Iching, so that the 3 bars in different configurations of broken and unbroken lines.
Oh, is that what that is?
And they're used for
Interesting.
kind of predicting the future, telling characteristics. Anyways, that's the news. Now, coming to you live
from our secret base on the sun.
On the sun. It's a bright spot. We're in the shade right now.
Yeah.
The shadow on the sun. Okay, so for news for 30th of June, 2015, when Studio Ghibli announced it would be making no more movies and laid off its animation staff, we wondered, what else would it get up to? Well, here's part of the answer. Studio Ghibli unveiled a 30-second animation it made for the Taiko Drum Master video game series.
Oh, cool.
Taiko. The animation features a mouse interacting with the game's drums.
Cool.
In the games, players beat on special drums to simulate traditional taiko drumming. Bandai Namco has sold over 4,000 arcade versions of the game and over 8 million copies of the console version.
That's a pretty popular game.
That sounds like fun.
Cool. If you've been to anime conventions and you've seen people sort of banging on drums as a video game, that's what you're looking at. Exactly.
Taiko drums.
Taiko drums. Funimation has also announced that it has licensed 13 new anime titles that it will stream this summer.
More titles?
Yay! As well as rights to the live-action Attack on Titan film.
Live action?
You bet.
Big people.
Yeah. The anime that they will be streaming this summer include Snow White with the Red Hair, Ranpo Kitan Game of Laplace, Gangsta, Seiyu's Life, which is a story by written by a Seiyu and animated by the artist who did Hayate the Combat Butler.
Oh, that's a fun
series. So that kind of artistic style. Bikini Warriors, which is exactly what it sounds like. D&D style adventurers, but all the adventurers are girls wearing bikini armor. Prison School, which is again exactly what it sounds like. Hitalia the World Twinkle, which is season 6 of Hitalia.
Wow, I didn't realize they'd gone that far.
No kidding. It keeps on going. Aquarium Logos, season 3 of that series, or that franchise. Sky Wizards Academy, also known as, I'm going to try to get this right, Kusen Madoshi Kohosei no Kyokan, which is a fantasy series.
Wow.
Junjo Romantica, 3, the 3rd season. Overlord, kind of an interesting premise here. A young man stays logged into an MMO when it's shut down. So it's planned obsolescence of MMO. Everything gets shut down, but he decides to remain logged in, and everything starts changing around him.
The real world behind the MMO.
Yeah. So apparently something is happening with the MMO with him still logged in. Curious to see how that goes. Also, Castle...
can't shut it down.
And then Castletown Dandelion and Shimoneta, a boring world where the concept of dirty jokes doesn't exist. This is a weird, hilarious concept.
It sounds strange.
It's all about censorship. The idea is that coarse language gets banned in the future.
Oh.
And a high school girl, kind of a Haruhi-like high school girl, decides she's going to protest this by using coarse language in public and in school.
Oh, the shock.
There's if you look for images of this, you'll see an image of a girl wearing underwear on her head. And that's kind of the shock.
I think I might have seen that. Wow.
So, and it's getting on the whole thing. There was a big student protest movement in the 60s and 70s. It's kind of playing off that historically. Very interesting concept. Now, back to the Attack on Titan note. So, Funimation licensed the live-action Attack on Titan films for the entire Western Hemisphere.
Wow.
North America, Central America, South America.
That's impressive.
And they will hold the world premiere at the Los Angeles Egyptian Theater on July 14th. Where the film's director and the actors who played Eren and Misaka will also attend. That's pretty big. The film will open in Japan on August 1st, so we're getting the films first.
Wow.
Yeah, Funimation has some pull.
That is impressive.
Amazing. The director has stated the film does tell its own story within the franchise's world, including new characters and new enemies. So if you've seen the anime or read the manga, this is still a new story.
Well, popular children's anime series, Yokai Watch is coming to Disney XD.
Cool.
They've already licensed 26 episodes of the show that started airing in 2014 in Japan. In the series, a boy named Keita, Keita provides a spirit. Keita frees a spirit from imprisonment. The spirit gives Keita a watch that lets him see many spirits who interfere with and cause trouble for people without them knowing it.
Yokai Watch.
Keita then works to resolve all these problems. The closest we have for a premiere date on Disney is this year. Meanwhile, in Hawaii Tourism Authority premiered. The Hawaii Tourism Authority premiered a new Yokai Watch anime short. That's right. The short film is a collaboration in which the characters of Yokai Watch describe the main characters, the main attractions of Hawaii's 4 main islands: Kauai, Oahu, Maui, and the Big Island of Hawaii itself.
Cool.
The short even includes new Hawaiian yokai. The film is part of a push by the Hawaiian Tourism Authority to attract more Japanese tourists.
Cool, interesting. Kind of weird thinking of a Hawaiian tourism push that's aimed at Japanese people, not Americans.
Usually it's anime has sort of a bent towards come see this in Japan,
right?
Rather than come to the Hawaiian Islands.
Very close to Hawaii, and guess where they all came from?
Wow.
So the popular light novel series The Familiar of Zero, aka Zero no Tsukaima, which had several anime series and so forth, will continue after the passing of its author, Noboru Yamaguchi, 2 years ago. Now, before you are too concerned about that, understand that Yamaguchi dictated the remainder of the story while he was sick and gave it to his editors, kind of entrusted them with that. Yamaguchi's family has also said that they're okay with the series being completed, and the publishers have since continued to receive requests from fans to finish the series. So everyone involved kind of wants this to go on. No news yet on who will do the writing, but apparently we will get more Familiar of Zero.
The Japan Animator Expo, the Japan Animator Expo, a series of short films made by various anime staff, will be getting a limited theatrical release in Japan.
Cool.
Beginning July 25th, all 12 episodes of the first season will be shown in 10 theaters in Japan, plus 3 episodes from the upcoming 3rd season. 3 new episodes will be Hammerhead, Kante Hitman 1989, and Boo Boo and Boobulina.
Sounds cute.
Yeah. The 3rd season will start this July, and as usual, we'll release a new short film every Friday.
Cool.
The project is overseen by Evangelion director Hideaki Anno. Hideaki Anno.
Yep.
Although he hasn't directed any of the shorts yet.
Okay. So we know Japan Animator Expo very well because we've done a bit of fan dub work.
Yes.
With that. It's a lot of fun.
Still waiting to hear back from them.
Yeah, exactly. We'll find out. So moving on to the
upcoming
conventions. So this weekend is one of the big ones, Anime Expo.
That's That's in Los Angeles
Yes.
Convention Center. That
Mhm.
is one of the big ones.
It sure is.
They're expecting how many people?
Up to 100,000 this year.
100,000. That's a some cities aren't that big. I mean, fully populated cities.
Well, it's been going for, let's see, 22 years now, so it's had some time to build up attendance. Guests include, I mean, there are a huge number: Chris Ayres, Danny Chu from Japan, Sandy Fox, Kyle Hebert, Daisuke Ishwatari, who's a producer and composer.
Is that Kiss
Yes,
the band?
Kiss the
is
band
gonna
will
be there. Wow. Endorsing anime.
I'm sure.
And
Jeremy
kabuki
Lay,
makeup. No.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe.
Toshio Maeda will be there, the manga artist. Chris Sabat, voice actor. Sean Schemmel, Stephanie Shea, Christina V, Lyle Wilkerson. Just tons and tons and tons of people. The other nice thing about Anime Expo is by being so close to Japan, they often get some announcements and some things that we don't get. So keep your eye out.
Stay tuned.
Exactly.
Do people still tune? Anime Midwest, July 3rd through 5th, is at the Hyatt Regency O'Hare, Rosemont, Illinois.
Okay.
Since 2011, they've been putting this on, and they expect an attendance of 10,000 people, which is a good amount.
Yeah.
Guests include Curtis Arnott, Greg Ayres, Chris Kaysen, Amber Lee Connors, Nicole Boyer, Emily DeJesus, Robert DeJesus. Are they related?
I think so.
Caitlin French, Steve Horton, Chuck Huber, Blake Shepard, Spike Spencer, Billy West, and many others. Check it out.
Yep, they keep on going. If you're in jolly old England this weekend, check out the London Anime and Gaming Con. It's been going since 2009. They'll be at the London Metropolitan University Rocket Complex.
Rocket Complex.
That sounds pretty cool.
Team Rocket. Wait,
in
no.
Going off again. In London, guests include Anemiya, the cosplayer, and Mike Pollock, the voice actor.
San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Coming July 9th through 12th, 2015, at the San Diego Convention Center.
Imagine
San
that.
Diego, California. They've been going on since 1995.
Wow.
That's a long way.
Yeah, pretty good. And of course, they're going to have everyone there at the San Diego Comic-Con. My gosh.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
Kickstarters.
Kickstarters. Here's the news on Kickstarters. Well, let's see. Would you like to visit Japan? Are you intimidated by the idea of figuring out just where to go in Tokyo so you'll see the most awesome otaku sites?
I am.
I am. The Essential Otaku Guide to Tokyo will be a digital guidebook for otaku sites in Japan.
Cool.
Unfortunately, the Kickstarter is a little vague on what exactly the form it is that it will take. A website, a Kindle ebook. But we do know they're starting with a digital version so they can update it rapidly as stores move and new locations and details change.
Gotcha.
They only need $4,000.
Cool.
And they've raised just over $1,000, and with 22 days left to go. So there's a good chance this will make it.
Right.
And the people behind it, Ed Hoff, Kyoyo,
That's Kyoko.
Kyoko Kato, and Adrian Lozano.
Lozano.
They've decades of combined experience in Tokyo.
Nice.
So that sounds like it should be a really exciting thing and a very helpful tool for touring.
Yeah, there's lots of information about Japan and Tokyo, but not so much about how to get to those specific otaku sites in Japan. So that's pretty cool. My Otaku Brain Trust Anime Convention Kickstarter is still not going so well. It's at 310 of the 5,300 needed to fund this intellectually focused anime convention in Virginia for February of next year. The idea is the panel-only convention, and we'll be recording it and putting it out there. 15 days to go, though, so anything can happen. Check it out, Otaku Brain Trust.
How do I find that again?
Otaku Brain Trust on Kickstarter.com.
So just go to Kickstarter and type in Otaku Brain Trust.
Exactly.
And
it'll pop right up.
Excellent. Remember Kickstarter, let's see, that Kickstarter by Fred Funel, Fred Funel, the Australian guy from Melbourne, who has never watched anime.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah.
He wants to raise $78 US to buy energy drinks. You'll need to watch 10 anime series nonstop over 48 hours.
Wow.
Continuous. Unfortunately, 12 days to go. Nobody's touched a penny. I want to see this guy.
I do too.
binge watch anime, having never watched anime. I understand that we could make recommendations if we pledged money to him and tell him what to watch. Imagine someone completely virgin to anime getting recommendations, and they have to watch it for that would be great.
And of course, you can kind of troll them by saying, "Okay, Naruto, One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, that's 3." No, we wouldn't do that.
Oh shoot, he could spend the 48 hours just watching Naruto and not get through.
That's not even a quarter of it. Gosh. The Kickstarter for Asterion, the French-Japanese co-production of it's a 13-episode kind of interactive anime series.
Interactive.
So throughout the episode, you'll get the sort of choices you can make that will change the story. Unfortunately, it's not going too well. They've only raised $18,000 out of the $151,000 they need by the end of July.
That's coming up soon.
It's coming up fairly soon.
But who's involved on that?
They got Studio Ghibli alumni working on that.
Whoa.
Several other distinguished anime staff, including Hiroshi Shimizu, who worked on Michiko and Hatchin, and the Lupin III Fujiko Mine series.
Those are some big names working on
Very
this.
big names, and if you head over and look for Asterion, that's Asterion on Kickstarter, they have a beautiful trailer up there with animation that's just knocked my socks off. So it looks good. It's a pretty high goal.
That sounds like an interesting concept for media.
Yeah.
To be able to choose how things go as you're watching.
Yeah.
Very interactive.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how they actually do that, what the form of it takes. I don't know. We'll see. Moving on to the anime releases of the past week. Let's see here. Aniplex. What are they doing?
Aniplex of America has come out with a number of different things here. They have Sword Art Online 2, Volume 1, Phantom Bullet, Part 1 DVD, which is episodes 1 through 7.
It's Part 1, Section 1.
Subsection, Paragraph 3, Article 2, decimal point 8. So episodes 1 through 7.
Okay.
And that's on DVD for $49.98.
Okay.
Sword Art Online 2 Volume 1 Phantom Bullet Part 1 is also available on Blu-ray for $79.98. And that's the same episodes 1 through 7. And Sword Art Online 2 Volume 1 Phantom Bullet Part 1 Blu-ray limited edition version is also available. And that's a little bit pricier. It's at $114.98. But if you dig Sword Art Online, you may enjoy that.
And we should point out these are all MSRPs, so the retail price will be lower.
Good. I like to save a few bucks.
Exactly.
Aniplex of America also has the Irregular at Magical High School, Volume 1, Enrollment Arc, episodes 1 through 7, subtitle.
Okay.
At $89.98.
Fair enough. All right, moving on to Discotheque Media has released Cheese New Address Season 2, the complete collections. That's all 26 episodes of Cheese New Address at $45 US. That is subtitled only.
I didn't have Cheese Old Address.
I know.
NIS America has released A Lull in the Sea, Nagi Asu, a complete series, premium edition, Blu-ray, 26 episodes.
Nice.
For $179.99.
Still like $7 an episode, something like that.
They've also NIS America has also released My Little Monster complete series premium edition Blu-ray DVD combo, 13 episodes for $16.99, and that's $69.99. Sorry, not $16.99.
Sorry,
buy me 8 copies. And that's subtitled.
Okay. Fair enough.
What's Sentai Filmworks up to?
Let's see here. Well, they've got Magical Warfare Complete Collection on DVD. That's 12 episodes for $59.98, about $60 there. And then another $10 or so, you can get the Blu-ray collection of Magical Warfare, again, complete collection, all 12 episodes. They've also released Collection 3 of Space Brothers. And that's 12 episodes, episodes 27 through 38 of that story. The DVD is $49.98, excuse me. And the Blu-ray is $59.98. So fairly inexpensive there, all things considered.
Sunrise, TRSI.
Direct Stuff International.
Turn a Gundam. Turn a Gundam.
Turn a Gundam.
Turn a Gundam.
which might be this, actually.
Whoa!
Imagine, what do you know? We
Whoa.
actually have it.
Part 2,
this
episodes
is the
45
thing.
through 50. You already have it.
So this is Turn A Gundam.
Released today.
Released today in my
In your hot little hand.
my hot little hands right here. This is exactly what you'll get if you order it, and you see there Laurent and somebody else.
$49.99.
Exactly.
Wow.
With discs and everything.
Check it out.
It's all there.
Nice.
Absolutely. And it also includes an ad for the first one. So if you're interested in the getting the first one, you get this nice little card stock of art.
And what's on the other side?
The other side is ad for Yakutate Japan. So that's kind of nice. But
cool.
Kind of themed ad in there, which is rather nice. So that's the news for the week. Thank you all for watching.
All the news that you can use.
Exactly. Bye, guys.
Good night.
Cool.
All sorts of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Liquid Snake.
Listen for Sword Art Online. Yeah, I'd be very curious to see how well Aniplex is doing with the Sword Art Online franchise, because I suspect that's one of those series where no matter how expensive it is, folks are buying it. You know, it's a big show, so that price may actually be working out for them. It's a good, thing. Well, they aren't what they used to be because they're cheaper. Besides Aniplex and such, the old ones were more expensive. The new ones have generally more episodes per combo pack. So on an episode by episode cost level, you're getting more per collection. But then there's fewer in the way of extras and such like that. The sad reality is folks weren't. They said they wanted that material, but they wouldn't actually buy the box sets.
I want the material. I just don't want to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
That happened a lot. So unfortunately, it's one of those. Do you spend the time and the money on? And I should also point out, I discovered this recently. All of those extra features have to be licensed individually, separately, one by one.
That's tricky. That involves lawyers.
Yeah,
they cost a lot.
Yeah, so all that. Every commercial, every clean opening and ending, all that stuff has to be licensed, and it all costs money. So Facts about Sword Art Online. That's cool, Pete. Video games. Can't comment on those. Haven't played Pokemon. Don't have a PS3. Kuni came out for the Nintendo DS. That's cool. That's the Studio Ghibli video game. Let's see here. Yeah, I think Kazuno Stigma, the creator, did I think pass away for that.
I'd like to just briefly mourn the loss of Chris Squire, the bass player for Yes. Passed on recently.
Sad.
Leukemia. Yeah.
Actually, I should also mention, I didn't put this in the news because it was just a little a note in passing, quite literally. But an anime director passed away this past week, and I'm waiting for a minute for that to pop by. Oh yeah, all this social media stuff.
Premiere. Extended desktop.
Oh, that's a good point. I should put it on extended desktop. In fact, I will go back and do the thing. The thing with a thing. Love how easy that is. Just scroll down and find this here. But we didn't have a
proper ending.
Yeah, Yokai Watch is getting. Oh, phones.
I thought I had it set on stun.
Yeah, but it did to me. Yokai Watch is getting a lot of pushes. A lot of people are talking about Yokai Watch. I think there are big people behind that show. I'm not quite sure why everyone's really making this a big thing. I guess folks want it to be the next Pokemon/Digimon massive franchise. I don't know. But a few other stories that didn't quite make the news this week. Isao Takahata of Studio Ghibli was invited to the Oscars Academy. The Academy asked him to come and help them vote this year, which is pretty cool. Miyazaki's been invited a few times. Where was that news story? I guess it was earlier in the week. There it is. Toshifumi Takezawa passed away sadly this week. He was 61. He had esophageal cancer. Esophageal. Although he was up to the day before his death, he was driving his car, walking his dog, so just chugging right along. He directed Dirty Pair.
Oh, that's a great series.
Yeah. Classic, as well as Samurai
Definitely
7.
old skill.
Yeah. Dirty Pair, Samurai 7, both his series.
Samurai 7, Raj. Wow. And that's the anime spin on Samurai 7 by Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai, which was also related to the Magnificent Seven, the Western similar story, farmers. And of course, the anime version has giant robots, which is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. So he did that. He was also chief technical director for Armored Trooper Votoms, which is considered one of the first big. So if Gundam was the
he's
first
done so
big
many
thing,
things.
Yeah, if Gundam was the first big super robot series, real robot series, Votoms was the second, sort of the Vietnam War version of giant robots. But yeah, he directed Big Wars, Crusher Joe OVAs, bunch of the Dirty Pair stuff, Blue Remains, Our Battler Done Bean, which was a very big thing. And also SBT Leisner, both of which were inspirations for Evangelion. And he was storyboard artist on, Zeta Gundam, Double Zeta Gundam, Victory Gundam, G Gundam, the new Gigantor, Black Butler, just fairly recent, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Inazuma 11. So a pretty big deal, and he had been lecturing at Kurashiki University of Science and Arts as well. So always sad to see someone pass.
Rest in peace.
Kaiser Dramon, I've answered the question of why they are expensive. Often it is not ridiculous. It is very, very rational why those box sets are the cost that they are. That's really cute. The characters for Soul Eater Not. That's just kind of adorable.
So the save editions.
Yeah.
Cut out a lot of some of the bells and whistles.
Oh, yeah.
And are a reasonable alternative to box sets.
Yeah.
But the save edition is who does the save edition? Is that just one?
I believe
distributor?
Funimation does technically the save editions. ADV has their own version of it, but it's not called a save edition. It's the cheap edition.
The reason I'm asking is I run into the dilemma where I want to watch an anime, but I don't know whether I'll like it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I want to buy a limited edition box set with all the cool stuff, or whether I just want to buy the save edition.
Yeah.
At least until I know that I've watched it. So I have the dilemma of I want to buy it, but I don't know which version to get. So what do I do?
Well, often that is kind of answered for you by the fact the save usually comes out a year or two after the limited edition. The limited edition is usually the first release. So if you're not willing to spend the money, you gotta wait for the save edition. That's
so it's a matter of time.
Exactly. By the way, the answer to why limited. Well, on one hand, everything's limited.
Yeah.
Every release they only make a certain number of
production runs.
Exactly. The reason they do a limited edition in terms of a lot more stuff and a smaller number is that they know only a certain number of people are going to buy this. It's
not want to sit on a stockpile of something that didn't sell.
Yeah,
so you make a small batch, high quality, and see how it goes from there.
It's the classic otaku thing. You make it for the otaku who are willing to spend large amounts of money on it.
Masa.
Hey, Masa. Good to see you again. Sentai Selects. I think that's what it is. I'm not sure.
What's with the stuff on the desk, like the
yes.
Sets?
So I brought in a few of the box set stuff that I've got. So starting at the far right, that's Lucky Star, the box set for Lucky Star, which I might reorient every so often just to give you a different view of that. Next to that is Time of Eve, aka Eve no Jikan, which we might end up doing on Smoking Mirrors. That would be a good one.
Yeah.
I think it's 6-episode OVA. Next to that is The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. For those who remember that, one of Mamoru Hosoda's best loved works. And then finally, the tin for Ghost in the Shell, which is kind of hard to see just because it's reflective metal. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That might work. There we go. So the nice little metal tin.
Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell. Little Tachikoma there on the bottom, I think.
I gotta say, that's one of my top 10 of all anime.
Yeah, it's the tough thing. It's how do you make money off this stuff when most folks just torrent it? Is the honest reality. So you either make a really cheap set, hoping that folks will spend only $15, or the really expensive one for the folks who are willing to spend the $200.
To be honest, I've found releases sometimes are behind, so I'll grab the torrent first, and I like the series, and so I buy it.
So I've been talking.
But then the save series comes out, and I think I could have saved it. I liked it, but I didn't like it enough for the special edition. But I did like it enough for the save edition.
Yeah. But
I don't know.
Well, I think it all comes back to that question of the worker is worthy of his hire, right? The people are out there making this stuff, and if they don't get paid money, they're going to go work in other industries.
Yeah.
So
although it is cool having a special limited edition.
It is, absolutely.
Somebody comes over, I've never seen that one before.
That's absolutely the thing. And I don't know the economics of it,
like
but generally speaking, the limited edition is going to be a little more lucrative for those involved. So there's a spectrum, right? On the one hand, there are the folks who will only buy a licensed, legitimate version of things, and even more extreme, there are folks who say go and only buy directly from Japan, because that is directly supporting them. That is fewer middlemen in between. Just go there. And then folks who say, okay, but I only buy legitimate, American releases or whatever. And then you have kind of the middle of the ground, kind of like us, where we're like, okay, we download torrents here and there, but we try to support the artists by buying boxes as much as we can. And then the other end of the spectrum is folks who say, why would I ever spend money on something when I can just download it for free?
Oh, well.
Like there's a thing
Don't kill
economics.
the goose that laid the golden egg.
Right. So you got to find the right balance in there. You got to find somewhere where you can support those people who make the thing that you say you love. I mean, if you love it, then you need to find some way to make sure more of it gets made in the future.
You got to water the roots to enjoy the fruit.
Perfectly put.
So
exactly.
Cultivate that garden. Yeah. Why do we have rice up here? Well, mochi. We're at some point we'd like to do some cooking shows.
Yeah.
And making mochi sweets, rice with red bean paste. Making me hungry thinking about it.
Man.
So that's in the future.
Stuff.
I think somewhere up there's a bottle of plum sake also hidden in the shadows. At some point we'll get some better lighting. We'll be able to see everything in high definition, full fidelity, ultra super.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
18 million by 16,000.
Yes.
Pixels.
Yeah. We're planning to have some pretty cool equipment in here.
Just waiting for the funding.
So Pete has the transient facts. He will hit the info high. Very good. That's a reference to information high from Macross Plus. Yeah, I don't know what you mean by the difference between actual box sets versus DVD and Blu-ray releases. I guess.
Like individual,
just individual
like episodes.
Yeah.
3-episode release.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It depends. I don't know how well any of those sell. So I don't know if it's a good sign.
It's funny at some of the vendors' booths at conventions. There's always one vendor there who has the releases of an entire series, 3 or 4 episodes at a time in its individual box.
Yeah.
And they sell at a great rate. I mean, they're so inexpensive. Of course, the problem that I run into is space is at a premium in my location, so that's why I lean to the save versions. But if I had a little bit more space on my bookshelf, having the individual discs as they were released.
I've had so many times when I have volumes 1, 2, 3, and 5.
Where's my 4?
And I'll go there, and especially if I'm missing 1 or 2 discs, it is cheaper
to buy the whole
thing just to fill in those 2 or 3 discs I don't have. It's amazing.
And then you can give to friends, hey, check this out.
Exactly.
Here's a few sample episodes.
I'm very similar to you, Game Escape. I'll buy the anime to try if it's relatively inexpensive, And if you don't like it, you can always eBay it and get most of your money back.
That's brilliant.
You know, you can resell it. List it on Amazon. Amazon
Trade it
has
to
their
a
whole
friend.
thing.
Actually,
Yeah.
some of the anime clubs will have swap days.
True.
You bring in all sorts of anime or game related stuff, and hey, you know, we'll swap or buy, trade, or sell.
That's how dealers' rooms and anime conventions got started. It was all swaps by fans.
Buy, swap.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to be careful uploading that stuff on there for English localization. Yeah, that's the thing. That is a lot of Yoko Kanno's music is now in the various databases. Yeah, she's well known enough.
We'll take you down.
Well, she composes music for you know, regular commercials and movies and so forth. So it's not just some random little anime out there. Also, I mean, Cowboy Bebop is one of the most, you know, best-selling anime in America ever.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
that's top 5. That's top 5.
Can't go wrong there. And yeah. So Yamada's a good example.
I'm curious what the rest of the story is.
Yeah. I'd love to dig into
the rest of the story.
I wonder. I'm going to dig in real quick to see if there's any announcements on that manga. I should say that you got an HK manga. Oops. Try that correctly. No, I mean, obviously it has been fan translated a number of times.
How many?
There are 9 volumes.
9 volumes of Yamada.
Yeah, I'm seeing a bunch of different
manga.
You know, it's on various sites, you know, Manga Reader and such. Yeah, so it's 9 volumes. It's quite a bit more than you'd be able to fit into a 12-episode TV series. It was a weekly Young Jump series. 9 takoban. Last one was released in 2011, so it has ended. But it doesn't look like the manga was licensed over here. Also possible that the manga got a little racier than the anime version, so they just thought it wouldn't sell. Who knows?
Who knows where they took the plot?
So here's the big question. We're just going to double check those sites to see if the various scanlators have scanned the entire thing. We'll see what we can actually get here.
Scanlators.
The scanlation. See here. I see volume 9. That's only volume. Well, I see volumes 1 through 4 and 9. So it is possible. Yeah, it's possible that they translated just whoa. Yep, this is the problem with these sites.
They can take you to places you never expected to go.
Exactly. But I'm seeing one site that does seem to have all of them. Just doing some quick math in my head. So it looks like it has been entirely fan translated.
Another Century episode series.
Okay. Would you? I would love to scroll down, but you put your little blue thing over the way I can scroll down. I have heard of another Centuries episode, but that's all I've heard of. What anime you know and like, where the manga still continues the story after the anime, and you like to see that anime continue? For me, it's The World God Only Knows. So an anime where the manga continues the story. Well, that's true of most anime series, I would say. Trigun's a good example.
Oh,
where that manga just keeps on going and going and going way after the story of the anime. In fact, the anime is almost a remix of the manga. You know, it's almost its own little thing relative to the story of the manga. Of course, Bebop had no manga originally. I don't know.
I gotta read more manga.
Yeah, I think Yamada would be a good example. I don't know, a lot of the anime I like didn't have a manga adaptation. Gundam, Lane, things like that. I don't know. His and Her Circumstances. That would definitely be one. So His and Her Circumstances, high school drama romantic comedy thing. It's the thing that Hideaki Anno made after making Evangelion. It's a goofy school comedy. And
what was that called?
His and Her Circumstances. and they did this very interesting thing, and I'm having a mild argument with someone on the YouTube channel about this, because they just adapt the story up to 26 episodes and just stop. They just stop when they run out of content. There's no big denouement or anything, because the story was just going on. They just decided, okay, we're going to adapt.
Life continues.
Exactly. Yes, that's exactly what they did.
Oh, closure.
And here's the thing, and I've been arguing because I like that. I like the fact that they said, look, this is a snapshot in these characters' lives. We don't have enough story to actually bring any resolution, and there is no resolution. They have these relationships, and so you get 26 episodes worth of it, and then if you want more, read the manga. Yeah. My gosh, and the manga was licensed and released over here. That's a good one where that's helpful. Yeah, karekano is the Japanese thing. Yeah, generally speaking, you'll get maybe 3 to 5 at the very outside volumes of a manga will get adapted into an anime. 5 is a lot to adapt. It depends on what happens. I mean, sometimes you're not going to adapt every single storyline, so sometimes it gets condensed a little bit. Yeah, so that's that's what I'd answer for that. But I don't know. For me, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. When I see an anime series, I'm so focused on the anime series, I don't think too much about where the manga might have gone. I kind of keep the anime in my head, and the manga part of it is just kind of its own thing.
Yeah, I look at the two different mediums as a different narrative altogether, and almost a different universe. Sometimes it's hard to separate the two, because then I start thinking storylines. Wait, okay, yeah, because there are some things simply you can't translate or don't have time to translate or put in. There's editorial decisions that need to be made, but
sure.
It's for the most part, when I'm in the anime, I'm trying to stay in the moment and see what's going on and see where they've taken it, and then afterwards I can do a comparison of, well, wait, this didn't exactly follow, but with a lot of anime and manga, there's not that necessity that there is with something like Marvel, where you have to have absolute continuity between the comic book and the movie, otherwise everybody gets upset. It's not as much of an issue. And I think the creative mind can fill in certain gaps and say, okay, well, this was one possible outcome, this is another, this is just a small sub-story within a larger picture that they just simply didn't get to. It's usually not something that's an essential core to the storyline, but when it is, it's kind of a shocker. But when it's not, it's, well, okay, they had to make decisions. What's going to go in? What's going to go out?
I completely agree. It's also weird because, like, I torrent anime, I find anime, I do all that stuff. I never think of going to the scanlation sites to look for the fan translated version of the manga.
I should do that more.
Yeah, it just never enters my mind.
Just check it out.
To look to see if the manga has even been translated or not. Just something in my mind says either it's a book on a shelf,
a physical hard copy,
or it's not there at all. That's weird.
That is one of the funny things that I prefer to have my anime hard copy, a disc that I can put on the shelf, physically look at, pull out, and stare at. I do like watching them online and streaming them, but there's something about having a tangible object that I can bring over to somebody and say, here, look at this.
And I'm of a slightly different mind, where I like having a physical copy. I love the convenience of having them all digital, but I like knowing if anything happens and a drive crashes, they're all sitting right there. I can just pull them all out and watch them, because you never know. I do not know about the ending of Bleach. I'm sorry.
Was there an ending?
I didn't know. I don't know. I don't know that it even did end.
I got bogged down in some of the filler stories, and I said, I can't stand this much filler. I want to get to the story, and I can't wait 3 weeks. Hey, all right.
There we go. It's absolutely It's fun, and you also get some of those things you're not going to get otherwise. Some of those interviews. And
that's one of the things I really like about the DVDs is in a lot of the DVD releases, you'll see the voice actors come out and talk. You'll see interviews and game shows that they do. You'll have directors' commentaries, and sometimes I get some ideas from other shows just looking at the previews. I'm like, I haven't seen that. Oh, I've seen that. That's not good, or that is a great quick summary of the show. It hooked me, and that works. So
in fact,
why didn't they include this? That would have been perfect.
The Boogie Bop Phantom, the release we have, every episode has a complete commentary track by the American voice director, several of the actors, including Crispin Freeman, on and off. And it goes into detail about, okay, you see that on the screen. There's a reason that's on the screen.
Those are the best.
Yeah.
Sometimes the voice actors get into the room and they'll just sort of chat to fill it. And you can tell that they're like eating pizza and drinking beer.
Right.
You're like, okay, they're talking about it a little bit, but now they're getting off subject. And there's some funny anecdotes, but it's really cool when you get, okay, here's how how we made it. Okay. Yeah, we had trouble here. We were trying to match the lip flaps. Our original line was in Japanese. We had 3 translators in here, and this guy said, this is not staying original, and we had to switch over to that. Somebody came up with this line. It fit. Everybody loved it.
Exactly. And the director, who sadly has since passed away, he was a huge nut for this series. So he was able to explain continuity, storyline, things like that. But a great example of this would be on this very Turn-A Gundam DVD box set, where on the back it says, contains episodes 26 through 50, clean opening and clean closings, plus a 3-part interview with mechanical designer Sid Mead, parentheses, Blade Runner, Aliens, Tron, end parentheses. So yeah, that's on here.
Interviews.
And I mentioned that because when Bandai had the license for for Gundam in general, they had recorded this interview for their box set release just before Bandai America got shut down. And they lost the license, and they lost it, and that box set just disappeared and vanished.
That's where it's a real collector's item. And not just because it says
they didn't even make it. It wasn't even made.
Somebody.
Yeah, and that was
somebody
the thing.
Use the content. Don't burn it.
And White Side picked it up, and everyone was like, "Please tell me you have the DVD. Please tell me you have it. Please, please, please." They said, "Yes, we got it. We're putting it on the DVD." Oh, thank you. Because you hear so many stories of those things where it gets recorded and then it gets lost somewhere.
Cutting room floor, somebody's basement, somebody's garage. They died. They passed on. Their mother threw it away.
For Logan's Run, there's a whole sequence where, those of you who haven't seen Logan's Run, it's a futuristic story, maybe in the 70s, about a utopian society that has a dark side, let's put it that way. And it's a very hedonistic society. And they had this problem where they wanted to show that hedonism, but it was the 70s. There's only so much you could do in a
unlike
movie.
Today, where they can show you just about anything.
And the book's a lot worse. Anyway. And so the characters are all wearing these sort of diaphanous clothing. And they said, unfortunately, when you're showing crowd shots, you just can't make it that diaphanous. Something's going to slip. So the main characters all wear diaphanous clothing, and they can light them just right so you can kind of see through them, but it's okay. Then there's a scene at what would now be called a rave in there, and you're sort of panning across all these people, and they had this beautiful sequence where you see everybody dancing and making out and all this kind of stuff, and it really got across the hedonism of the scene and just how empty it was, how it was just completely transactional and nobody remembered any of it. And somebody watching it said, the story's slowing down, we've got to edit it down. And it got cut down to about 10 seconds of the characters making their way through and we just got through. And I was listening to the interview, and he said the problem is that doesn't exist anymore. Like this was before the time that any of that got
hit the floor, they threw it.
Yeah, it's gone. So he said there's all that material that just we're never going to see. See here. Oh yes, that's right. So occasionally someone will get the TV censored version of an anime series, and we'll try to release that as a box set. So here's the thing: that's cheaper. So the censored version is generally cheaper than the uncensored version. They'll say, look, we can't afford the uncensored version. We're going to release the censored version. And I think that's what Funimation tried in that case. But then they decided, no, okay, people are too concerned. It would be neat.
It would be interesting to
have an alternate comparison version.
Yeah. How does the U.S. treat nudity, language, foul language? Of course, all that has changed with the U.S. over the past few years. What used to be non-acceptable is now more frequent, language-wise, and what's shown. I wonder if the Japanese have gone through a similar loosening of their standards as well.
True. And lest we forget, even these shows that show all of this etchiness and all of this, quasi-nudity, they are airing that at like 1:30 in the morning.
So it's not hitting kids.
Yeah, and it's often on a cable network. In fact, some of these cases, it's on literally like a paid network. It's on the equivalent of HBO. So yeah, they can get away with a lot of things, even though it's on television. It's not quite the same as over here. But yes, there's that. And censoring rules are different. They have very different views. They have very different views on what's parody. The laws on the books are similar, but how those are interpreted by courts, of course, are very different.
That's the final.
Yeah, exactly.
And that influences the guy who actually paints the back bar.
Exactly, yeah. There is, I believe, one company in Japan that censors all of the adult material released in Japan.
Where'd my thick marker go? Okay, I can use the thin marker on this one. This one I need the thick marker for.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, and they got raided a couple of times because they weren't censoring enough. They're kind of letting a lot of things slip.
We're taking away all your small markers. You only have big markers. No more novelty censorship line just to say it was there.
Yeah. And there are rules on how to censor and how much you can show and how much you can't.
There's some people who uncensor things.
True.
Is that their own creative endeavor to visualize?
Usually, yeah.
And sometimes there's not a lot left to the imagination anyway.
Exactly. And that depends a lot. So when it's a still image, it's usually pretty easy to decipher what that is and redraw it.
Basically, those anime that are harder to.
Right. Exactly. When things are actually moving around, but then also a lot of anime these days is again made for internationalization, so they know that there's going to be markets for the uncensored version. So they will, there will be a version that's uncensored.
Different versions.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's hilarious. You get into, what's in the French version versus the Brazilian version. Oh,
in Italy, but not in the U.S. and partially in Russia. But
oh, it's amazing.
Now the South American one, totally different. What?
Yeah, exactly.
How'd that happen?
Yeah. And then didn't get licensed here, didn't get licensed
And then
there.
when you get online, you're talking with people about it, and I saw a very different story.
Well, and manga is a good point, Liquidus, where manga is also, censorship for manga is considered different than anime, because manga is considered, I gotta try to choose my words carefully here. Manga is considered closer to a literary work than anime is. So a manga is a book.
Has a spine, has pages.
It follows book rules, whereas anime follows movie and television rules.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And there's a lot more concern over making sure that printed material, there's more freedom of speech around printed materials than there is for stuff that's broadcast. So it is a little different.
That again makes a tricky job for doing storyboards for an anime based on a manga, because then you have to be versed in both rules and adaptation and original intent and how much license you have to be creative with interpreting that for a different medium.
There's a great example of that with a show called Dance in the Vampire Bund, which I got extremely obsessed with for a little while. I read like 5 volumes of it online, fan translated without even realizing it. And I went and read and watched the anime, and so the premise is the main character is Mina Tepes, Vlad Tepes' granddaughter, who was bitten and turned into a vampire when she was like 12 years old. So she is now the head of the vampire clan, and she is biologically 12, but she is hundreds of years old. So she's leading this clan, and they do a great job of, she has the personality of somebody who has been around, seen it all. She's there's no question. but she realizes
Physically.
right. So she wears like a goth loli outfit to go negotiate with somebody.
Deal with that, Canada.
Right.
She's older than.
Yeah. And so one of the other main characters is a werewolf who is assigned as her bodyguard, her protector. And he's maybe 17, something like that. And he's been, chosen since birth to be her bodyguard. Okay. Maybe. So in the manga, the bodyguard, she teases him with the fact that she has this childlike body.
Mm-hmm.
And so she'll call him in when she's taking a bath. And he gets really flustered and really, annoyed that he's doing that. And she'll stand up and walk around naked. And he's just, he's not looking at her, that kind of stuff. And then she'll ask him to like to dry her back and things like that. And he does that. And she's like, okay, fine, whatever. And dries herself off and goes on. The anime takes that a little more suggestive.
Well, after being 100, having 100 years of being in a 12-year-old body, I would probably get bored of I've gotten used to how this body has changed or not changed.
Yeah.
Where
but so the anime decided to make it look like he's a little more physically attracted to her than he is in the manga.
That creates a dynamic of
right
that may not have been there.
Right. And I certainly didn't see that in the manga. And so it's one of those things where maybe they did that for a reason. Maybe they're trying to do something in the anime. I don't know.
Go further with it, yeah.
I don't know. I only watched it like the first episode or two of it.
Potential plot. Different. I mean, that could change an arc if taken to its extent.
Yeah.
Or it could just leave holes and ambiguity that people are left wondering.
And it could
never get answered.
And it could be that their take on it was, if you have a 17-year-old and this naked girl is walking back and forth, you would be more flustered. You would be more, in the manga, he's more stoic. He's more just stop it. Just, you're an idiot, if you will. And in the anime, he's a little bit more, blah, 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 blah. So maybe they're just saying that's a more natural reaction for a 17-year-old. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, Liquidus. Censorship is very different in different countries. It depends. Another thing too is we're using the word censorship, which is a little bit inaccurate.
There's censorship, and then there's adjusting things for the audience target.
Technically, censorship is when a government.
Yeah, the black bar across the privates. That's sort of a censorship. That's a law saying that you're not allowed to show this.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's would this be within good taste for this society?
Yeah,
it's not a law, but in order to stay within the parameters of these social confines, we'll voluntarily change some things just for this.
Well, and it's stuff like, depending on how you define it, like the MPAA is technically not censorship.
Right.
They are a voluntary body that people agree to.
You can put in all sorts of stuff that they will give a different rating to if you put it in. It's not like they're enforcing you. They're forcing you.
And you could always release it without getting an MPAA rating.
It's movie, not rated.
It's just not going to go, the theater and then have to decide, okay, what do we do with this?
So there's the voluntary side, and then there's the mandatory legal enforcement side.
Now, the laws on this in Japan have changed. Last I checked, and I don't know where this is, but there used to be a law in Japan saying that genitals could not be shown in any way, shape, or form anywhere unless it was a historical artwork or it was a visual representing historical artwork. So, for example, and also if it was like art, so a Renaissance master, fine, whatever. But for example, if you had a photograph from 1900 of a couple of little kids running naked through the streets, whatever, that you can show. No one's gonna freak out about that. but for the longest time, you could not show anything else in any way, shape, or form. So that was censorship because that was a law saying you cannot show this. If it's a tape, it doesn't matter. There has to be some censorship on that. So that is kind of a little different than V got HK having shadows in the TV version versus no shadows in the DVD version. That's them deciding to display it a certain way. Yeah, I don't play video games, so I can't comment on that. But certainly things are different in different ways. Yeah, that's an interesting point. How different genres are popular in different places. Shooters are not as big in Japan as are RPGs, visual novels, things like that, which I think is actually good. I mean, not to get into the whole fantasy violence thing, but wouldn't you rather have your young people, having stories about young love instead of stories about blowing things up? Just, in general.
It takes a lot more effort to create things than it does to destroy things.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot more time, and it's tedious, and that amount of effort is taxing.
Yeah.
Where blowing things up is easy, it's fun, and consequences don't have the same impact.
Exactly.
In that scenario. So
which is why folks love playing it, which is that's that
as long as people can separate reality and fantasy, it usually isn't too bad. But it would be nice to see some of the first-person shooters having a directive that is more in line with social values and not just sheer joy of carnage.
Yeah. But it would also be nice having a medium that is not in which, say 90% of games and popular games aren't about killing things, in one shape or form, blowing them up, shooting them, something along those lines, hitting them with swords. That can be, as you said, that can be very fun, relaxing, stress relief, but a little variety would be nice.
Well, one of the fun things is refining your craft, your skills, your abilities. With real world, target shooting is a craft that can be refined. It doesn't necessarily lead the person to mass carnage, but it's a way of constructively reaching a goal of refining your ability and skill in hitting a target, learning all the required behaviors. And the same thing could be done with games to a more productive end that enhances the player once they're done with it, rather than just giving them a mind full of options that are not viable solutions to any problems in their life. So
that would actually be interesting to see games that are shooters, like not in a war context.
I'm shooting to get this rocket on course 90% of the time, so I can make it to Mars.
Okay.
What are the targets that I need to get to refine the propellant fuel, the tolerances of the trajectory? Okay, what do I need to do to build this so that it will withstand the G-forces? Okay, there's all sorts of fun stuff that could be done to.
There's a great video game called Kerbal Space Program where you set up a rocket and you try to launch it to the moon, and you got to figure out all those different things about fuel consumption, and you put wings over here and it falls over, and all these different little things that are difficult. Again, I can't comment on whether or not the Simpsons episode was literally banned. Maybe, maybe not.
I think we have some anime that comes over here that are cleaned up also for U.S. sentiments as well.
Yeah.
So it makes for a point of diplomacy.
Yeah.
But if you really know what's going on, you can see the pre-cut, the post-cut. You can see both sides of it, and you say, okay, there's some differences that. And
the other side of that coin too is it is also respecting different cultures.
Yeah.
There's something to say. Well, just because it doesn't offend me, Does that mean that no one should ever possibly be offended? No. I mean, I think other cultures can have different views on what is acceptable or not.
It's funny. Some of this discussion reminds me of a model kit scenario. People who like to build model kits often run into airplanes and tanks, and at some point come across World War II tanks or airplanes. And if you're doing the historical reenactment, that involves the Nazis, who had strong symbolism. Well, in Germany, you can't sell model kits with the decals that have the swastika on them. Is that and that's a law. So technically that's censorship, but it's within a good taste from the perspective that you're not trying to stir the pot and create dissension among people. However, it does make your model kit incomplete when you try and do something that has an authentic period look to it. So within reason, some of these things can be acceptable if you know the background of it, but that's the important part. Be aware when the censorship is happening. If you're not aware that the censorship is happening, then you run into the danger of being controlled by the media.
There was this fascinating French documentary about cosplay that came out a couple of years ago, and they went and they interviewed a bunch of different cosplayers, and we're talking like Japanese cosplayers, you know, the whole world. And they went to a paintball competition done by military otaku. So these are folks who knew exactly what weaponry every different group had. So they would get into groups, and so they would say, okay, we're going to be the you know, American soldiers Vietnam era, and we'll dress up like that, and we'll have weapons like that. Oh, paintball weapons. And some of them were World War II era German soldiers. And the interviewer came up and interviewed them and was clearly just shocked and horrified. Said, "How can you do this?
Reenactment of history.
How can you wear a Nazi uniform and go out there?" And the cosplayers were just nonplussed. They were like, "This is just what they wore.
This is the costume of the character that I'm playing."
Nothing I am doing.
This is not my personal perspective.
Right, exactly. You know, and more importantly, like, not even more importantly, plus, like, nothing about this event has anything to do with the events of World War II. It is a bang, 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 you fall over, I fall over event. It's not even a historical reenactment. It's just sort of people running around shooting each other.
How could they do that? Yeah.
Right, but you know, on the flip side of that is, you know, if I were Jewish and I saw, you know,
even
TV footage of that, even for
would
play,
be offensive.
I could see myself saying, really, do you have to dress up in that?
There are alternatives to this.
Yes, I don't have a good answer for that.
I don't either.
I think it's an interesting point.
It's definitely a tricky thing. You think to being in reenactments of the Civil War. If a person's involved in a reenactment and they don't choose the winning side, does that necessarily mean they support the other side? No, not necessarily. I mean, it's reenactment of history. I think actors run into the same problem of being typecast. Oh no, I'm a villain. Well, personally, I'm not a villain, but I've portrayed so many villains now. People associate that personality with me as an individual, and it's hard for some people to separate the actor from the roles that they've played. And so there's no really good answer when it goes into something larger where there's reenactment and portraying things, because the solutions are, I mean, it comes down to, I guess, the golden rule, do unto others as you'd have done unto you. If I felt I was doing this to offend, I wouldn't do it. But if I knew...
Well, I mean, even there it gets tricky, though, because, you know, I may not have a problem with it. And so I may have no problem doing it to somebody else, but then they may have a problem with something that I can't even see.
Godzilla, that represents the atomic bomb. We can't have that. Don't do that. Wait, no,
it's tough. By the way, Pete Bill 156 has nothing to do with the anime studios. That is not what it's about. Bill 156 is the Tokyo Youth Ordinance Bill amendment. That was a bill introduced into a law in Tokyo that said that material that is harmful to youth may not be sold in sort of on normal shelves in Tokyo.
Game Escape brought up the point of the book Mouse, which
yeah, Mouse is a great example where that is very much about the Holocaust, but it's a question of is this appropriate in that particular context? The Youth Ordinance Bill Amendment is a very different thing. It is dealing, generally speaking, with any material that is considered harmful for youth and how that can be sold, which can have certain negative effects. But it's not saying what anime studios can or cannot make. It is saying what can or cannot be sold.
And
Pokemon's a good example where that was again, that wasn't technically banned. That episode was pulled from I guess it depends on how you define it.
What about the South Park episodes that were pulled because the profits?
So there was a Pokemon episode that was not broadcast in America. It was not banned. The people making it decided not to show it.
Because so that was a choice on their part. It
wasn't
banned by a law.
As far as I know,
it
was not banned by law. They said that was just not an appropriate thing. There was also an episode. Actually, no, I take that back. It wasn't an episode.
It was peer pressure.
Yeah.
Social.
I mean, there was the famous epileptic seizure episode, but again, that was pulled by the makers everywhere around the world. They did not let that get shown until they re-edited the footage to not cause that effect. So that's different. No, Pete, that is not what Bill 156 is. Again, there's examples where 4Kids isn't banning it technically. 4Kids is deciding not to release it. A different licensor could make a different decision. I don't think that's technically banning it. It's just making that decision.
Wow.
And there are also certain episodes that are not broadcast or are broadcast later. There's an episode of, I think, Gintama, in which a character is overwhelmed with emotions, and a giant tsunami overtakes them. And that was scheduled to air 2 days after the Tohoku earthquake,
which would be
not appropriate.
The story may have been great, but the timing was, and timing is everything. You think about all sorts of things that happens with. I mean, the whole Fight Club scene with the buildings blowing up.
Right.
That movie released around 9/11 was like, it's kind of creepy.
Yeah. And the episode came out later. I mean, it wasn't like no one ever saw it. It was just not today.
Other versions, came out with an album called Keys to Ascension right around the time the Hale-Bopp Comet cult decided to kill themselves. And strangely enough, one of the bands that they listened to was those guys. It was an ill-timed release, but there was nothing they could do about it at that point. And so sometimes timing plays very strange tricks with sensitivities, and once it's out there, even if intentions were not to offend. Sometimes they still do.
Well, it's like speech in general. We all agree with the principle of free speech. The thing is, we all also, I think, agree that there is such a thing as propriety and appropriateness of what you say. You don't say anything to anyone at any time. That's how you get your face smashed in. So there has to be some appreciation,
some internal censorship.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
I don't spell what comes to mind always.
I think we've all been at school at times with classmates where we wish we could say something, but we don't. And that's basically what's going on here. Is folks are saying, okay, that's not an appropriate thing to put out right here, right now, in this place. And it's very difficult with things like this, where again, it's not a free-flowing conversation. This isn't 24 minutes of animation that has been made over the past 2 or 3 months. Deciding to pull the trigger or not is a complex thing.
What I find sometimes troubling is looking at stuff that's real old with people who are not aware of the history or the cultural normatives at the time that it was made.
Mm-hmm.
And something out of context can seem extremely offensive when it was not nearly as offensive nor intended to be if you view it in the time period when it was released.
Warner Brothers did a great job with this when they released a lot of their older cartoons, which sometimes have racist stereotypes in them, and they put a disclaimer on the front saying it was a different time. You know, there were different views. We would rather put it out there and tell you up front that these things are inappropriate and that these things are, you know, not cool. But you can watch them and be aware of that. And if that's a trigger for you, don't watch them. That, you know, that's understandable.
The disclaimers.
The
following content is not representative of our network or its sponsors.
Yeah.
View at your own discretion.
Oh, Barry Sonnenfeld and Tim Allen famously had a movie that came out just after 9/11, and it was about hijacking a plane. And that you cannot find that movie; it just disappeared.
Yeah, the Chinese.
The Chinese did actually accurately ban a couple of dozen anime series recently.
I would like to have been a fly on the wall and just gone through their thought processes as they observed it and said, "This is this," or called it, you know.
Well, we did go through the list, and I remember seeing that a lot of them were fairly violent, even more so than typical like fantasy violence. I think all of them had some aspect of, you know, teenagers being told they have to kill each other, kind of a storyline. So it could be one of those things where you're like, oh, okay.
We don't want to encourage that viewing in our,
you know, and
don't give them ideas.
Japan famously loves storylines where high school students are all, you know, killing each other. So that's like one of those things. There are also Tom and Jerry cartoons which have gotten
there's collectors of old cartoons who can appreciate things for the time that they're in, but definitely the general public probably will never see
it's a good point.
The light of those animations again. I think at some point Bill Cosby bought up a lot of the Little Rascals episodes and the R Gang, because their portrayal he felt was too offensive.
Interesting. Wow.
And once you buy the rights, there's already releases that are out there that will circulate for a while, but that means there's not going to be any re-releases or issues until the owner of the copyright decides to do that. And you know, I grew up on some of those, and I never viewed it as you know, I viewed it as a kid looking at other kids. But as an adult or mature, or having gone through the problems of the civil rights movement, I can understand where he's coming from. I just feel sad to lose any part of history where I may want to go back and look at it sometime with a more mature perspective. Because looking at cartoons that I saw as a kid, I see a lot that I didn't pick up as a kid. There were all sorts of jokes and innuendos and things I was not aware of until I went back and looked at.
There's a thing in the Animaniacs, which I did not even see. They're all detectives, and the Yakko tells them to all look for fingerprints. They do that. They come back, and Dot's holding the artist formerly known as Prince. And he goes, no, fingerprints. And she goes, I don't think so. And then throws out a window. Yeah, I didn't see that. I was like, how did they get that past the censors? Wow. That's pretty bad.
That's funny to see that. Wow. There's a whole series of those, and if you search for those on the internet, you'll find lists top 10.
They weren't usually like that obvious, but they throw in a few things here and there. It's really interesting. Battle Royale is an interesting movie that I would argue that the manga, as usual, tells a more complex story because there's just more time to do it in. But I think the movie does as good a job as possible of adapting that kind of a story into a movie. You just can't get all those characters in. You know, that would be a problem. They kind of had that problem with, well, and I mean, there are lots of adaptation things. The Watchmen, when that came out, they decided to change the ending. Change the ending. The nature of the big ending was completely different, and because they decided they couldn't make it look non-dorky in a movie. It was a very comic booky kind of an ending. So I'll give spoilers because this is a classic thing. I want to explain spoilers. See Game Escape. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
So the villain, I'll just be that vague, unleashes in the manga in the comic unleashes a giant sort of tentacled squid thing in New York and sort of teleports it in, and it sort of crashes and destroys things, and it kind of just kills millions of people. And you cut in and you see just these beaks and tentacles and things flying all over things, and there's blood and there's things everywhere. And he said, the director said, I can't do that in a movie and not make it look like a Godzilla movie from 1983.
Yeah.
There's just no way to make that not look goofy.
Yeah.
So he made an atomic bomb blast, which is a much more gravitas, if you will, on screen.
It definitely keeps the viewer in the land of, okay, I can buy that.
Yeah, exactly. and again, comics are a different medium than movies. That's something that worked in the comics because you have this big, bright, bold.
Your mind fills in
world
with imagination,
Yeah.
the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
There, with movies, our suspension of disbelief contract is a little bit stricter on, okay, believable, not believable.
Yeah.
Okay, if it's not believable, I'll buy in early, like a fantasy movie. With, okay, yeah, hobbits do exist in this world. Okay,
Yeah, sure.
I bought into it.
Exactly. Yeah. You gotta figure it out.
But if the suspension of disbelief is following a pretty natural progression up to a point, and then it goes so over the top, it just doesn't work. So you gotta.
Hobbits are a great example. You look at the original Lord of the Rings movies, where that was really tough to decide. Okay, where do we stop the first movie? Where do we start up the next one? Anyone who's read the books would have told you that you're ending there. That's a really dark, sad place. But Jackson knew how he was structuring that. So cool. All right, yeah. I think that will do it for us for tonight. We've been going for an awful long time. So thank you all very much for joining us.
Thanks for joining, and check us out next week.
Exactly.
Same bad time, same bad channel. I'm not going to get censored for that, am I? Copyright, please.
I think we're fine.
And,
cool.
Let's see, what else is there? Check out.
So geekspectrum.org. Check out. Let me think. We've got a new episode coming on Friday of Culture Shock.
Yeah.
More of that coming out. More of that coming out over the next few weeks. More Smoke and Mirrors coming. I believe. Let me just double check. Oh, cool. I would love to see a picture of that Liquidus. That. So
send us photos of
exactly. So next week we'll be doing License Check on Tuesday. So a bit of a switch up. So Tuesday episode of License Check, talk about all the anime licensed in the past month rather, and then Smoke and Mirrors will be on Friday next week. That is the plan, I believe. So we will update you with any other.
Should it change? Stay tuned.
Exactly, and we'll let you all know. But that is the plan.
Thanks for joining us.
Take care, guys. See ya.
Take care.
Bye.